3 gunshots echoed through the Whitmore estate at 2:37 in the morning. King Whitmore died in his study with a glass of scotch still warm in his hand and 3 bullet holes arranged in a tight triangle across his chest. Professional. Efficient. The kind of shooting that spoke to training rather than passion. His eyes stayed open, staring at the ceiling where decades of cigar smoke had yellowed the paint. Blood pooled on mahogany flooring imported from Brazil. Expensive carpet that would need replacing. Small price for an empire. Ethan Whitmore stood in the doorway, 9mm still smoking in his hand, watching his father bleed out on imported wood. No hesitation in his eyes, no regret, just cold calculation of a man who had made a choice and would live with it. The old man's lips moved, trying to form words around the fluid filling his lungs. Ethan stepped closer, leaned down, listened. "You were always weak, boy, just like your brother." King's final assessment, his legacy to his eldest son. Ethan put the gun to his father's temple and fired once more. Mercy shot, or maybe just making sure. The police would arrive in 14 minutes. Ethan had timed it, paid the right people, ensured the evidence would point toward rival organizations. Professional hit, tragic loss, seamless transition of power. He made 2 phone calls before the sirens started. First to his associates. The family business would continue. Expansion was already planned. Second to his brother Cole, 1,200 miles away in California, finishing his final month as a Navy SEAL. The call went to voicemail. "Dad is dead, killed in his own home. You need to come home, family needs you. Blood is blood." Cole never returned that call. Never came to the funeral. Never acknowledged that his father had been murdered by his own son while trying to go legitimate. 3 years passed. Ethan built an empire on his father's corpse. And Cole built a ranch in Montana, pretending distance equaled freedom from blood. But blood always finds you. Eventually. Present day, Montana, 0400 hours. Cole Whitmore jerked awake with someone else's blood on his hands. Not real blood, memory blood. Kandahar, 2014. Martinez bleeding out while Cole held pressure on wounds that would not stop leaking. The dream was always the same. The ending never changed. Martinez died. Cole lived. Survivor's guilt in high definition every night for 10 years. He sat up in bed, 38 years old, felt 60. The cabin was dark except for red numbers on the clock, 4:03, almost a full 3 hours of sleep, new record. He did not bother with the mirror in the bathroom, knew what he would see. Same face his father had, same eyes that looked through people instead of at them, Whitmore eyes, the kind that made men nervous in bars. The pills sat in the medicine cabinet like a dare. Sertraline for the depression, prazosin for the nightmares, propranolol for the panic attacks. A pharmacist's attempt to fix what a decade of combat had broken. Cold Dry swallowed them with tap water and waited for his hands to stop shaking. They did not. Outside, Montana waited in that particular darkness that came before dawn. The kind of dark that made you remember you were alone in the universe. Cole pulled on jeans and boots, and the flannel shirt with the torn elbow he kept meaning to fix but never did. His SEAL trident sat on the dresser collecting dust. He had not worn it in 3 years. Reminders were for men who wanted to remember. Cole wanted to forget. The walk to the stables was 50 yards through cold, that bit, and darkness that pressed. Glacier National Park rose to the west, invisible but present. 80 acres of Montana that Cole had bought with SEAL savings and desperation. Second Chances Ranch, home to 12 damaged veterans and 12 damaged horses, matching sets of broken things trying to figure out how to be whole again. The stable door was solid under his hand. He had built it himself, built all of it himself, every nail, every board, every fence post sunk into frozen ground. Work was prayer for men who did not believe in God anymore. Inside, the horses stirred at his presence. 12 stalls, 12 sets of eyes catching what little light existed. Thunder, the 20-year-old gelding who had been left to starve. Copper, the mare who flinched at raised voices. Sergeant, the retired police horse with shrapnel scars and a fear of loud noises. And Ghost. The big gray stood at the back of his stall like he always did, waiting, patient. The first horse Cole had saved and the one who had saved him back. Found wandering Highway 2 3 years ago, more skeleton than horse, eyes showing too much white. The vet had said euthanize. Cole had said no. Took 6 months before Ghost would let him close enough to touch. Another year before the horse stopped flinching at every movement. Now Ghost nickered softly. Recognition, maybe even affection. Cole opened the stall door and stepped inside with movements slow enough to telegraph intent. The horse lowered his head, and Cole pressed his forehead to the warm neck and breathed in hay and horse, and something that smelled like redemption even though he knew better. This is why you get up, his therapist had said during their last session. You get up for them, the horses, the vets, the things that need you. Cole had not argued, had not mentioned that needing and being needed were different things, that some mornings getting up felt like punishment instead of purpose, that the pills did not always work and the nightmares did not always fade, and sometimes he stood in this stall with this horse and thought about how easy it would be to just stop. But then Ghost would exhale against his chest, warm breath, living proof that broken things could choose to trust again. So Cole kept getting up, kept feeding and mucking, and pretending he was building something instead of just hiding from something else. Feeding took 40 minutes. Each horse had specific needs, specific schedules, control where you could find it, order where order was possible. Cole moved through the routine with muscle memory, hands measuring grain and supplements while his mind wandered to places he tried not to go. 3 years since his father died. 3 years since Ethan called with that flat voice delivering news that should have hurt more than it did. Cole had not gone to the funeral, had not acknowledged the flowers Ethan sent to his last California address with a card that said family is forever, had thrown the card away and moved to Montana a month later. But Ethan's letters followed him anyway. Once a month like clockwork, never threatening, never emotional, just updates, reminders. The family business is strong. The old man would be proud. You should visit. You should come home. You should remember who you are. Cole burned every letter without reading past the first line. But the last 3 months, the letters stopped coming. And that worried him more than the letters ever had. By 0600, the ranch was stirring. Marcus Reeves appeared first, limping across the yard from his cottage on a prosthetic leg he claimed was better than the original. 55, built like a brick. Gray buzz cut and the kind of scars that came from doing hard things in hard places. Master Chief Reeves had been Cole's commanding officer during his second tour, had written the recommendation that got Cole into SEAL training, had visited Cole in the hospital after Kandahar and said the 6 words that kept Cole breathing. You are not done yet, son. Marcus lost his leg to an RPG in Helmand province, medical retirement, disability checks, a divorce from a woman who could not handle his anger. He showed up at Second Chances 2 years ago with a duffel bag and a bottle of whiskey and asked if there was work. Cole gave him the cottage and the title of head trainer, and had not regretted it once. Now Marcus walked the perimeter like he still expected enemy contact, checking sight lines, cataloging cover, old habits from a different war that never really ended. You sleep. Some. Bullshit. You look like 10 miles of bad road. Feel like 20. Marcus grunted, approval of the honesty. He leaned against the stable wall, weight carefully balanced, prosthetic making small mechanical sounds. Tommy had another bad night. Around 0200, screaming about Fallujah, took 3 of us to calm him down. He hurt anyone? Just himself. Broke his hand punching the wall. Kid won't let me look at it. Cole kept working. Hands busy. Thoughts quieter when hands were busy. I will talk to him. Already did. He is ashamed. Thinks it is weakness. Thinks he should be over it by now. Nobody gets over it. They just learn to carry it better. That is what I told him. He didn't believe me. Did you believe it when people told you? Marcus was quiet for a beat. No. Cole finished with Copper's feed and moved to Sergeant's stall. The retired police horse watched him with eyes that had seen riots and bombs and humanity at its worst. Sarah Mitchell is coming today, Marcus said. VA inspection. Decides if we keep federal funding. I know. You ready for government folks poking around? No, but ready doesn't matter. We need the money. We need the money because you refuse to take anything from your family. I do not have a family. I have a brother I have not spoken to in 3 years and a father who died disappointed in both his sons. King wasn't disappointed in you. He was proud you got out. King was a criminal who built an empire on fear. I do not want his pride. Marcus studied him with the kind of look that saw past bullshit and bravado straight to the scared kid underneath. Your father called me once, year before he died, asked how you were doing, said he was trying to go legitimate, said he wanted to leave you and Ethan something clean. Cole's hands went still on Sergeant's feed bucket. When? Year before he died, maybe 14 months. He said he was cooperating with federal investigators, witness protection, clean slate. And then he died. And then he got killed, Marcus corrected. Your father did not die. He got murdered, 3 bullets, professional hit. The official report said rival organization. The official report was written by people your brother paid. Cole turned to face his old Master Chief directly. You think Ethan killed him? I think your father was about to destroy everything the Whitmore family built. And I think your brother had more to lose than anyone. And I think you have been hiding in Montana hoping blood won't follow you. I am not hiding. Then what are you doing? Trying to build something that matters. By pretending your last name isn't Whitmore. By proving it does not have to mean what it used to mean. Marcus pushed off the wall. The prosthetic made him list slightly to the left, but his eyes were level and hard. Your brother has not written in 3 months. That worries you. It does. Because he is either dead or planning something, and you do not think he is dead. No. So he is planning something, and when men like Ethan Whitmore plan things, people die. You remember that when the government lady shows up asking questions. Marcus walked away before Cole could respond. Left him standing in Sergeant's stall with a half-filled feed bucket and the weight of 3 years of denial settling on his shoulders like pack ice. The residents started appearing around 0700. 12 men, 12 stories, all the same story underneath. Went to war, came back broken, tried to pretend they were fine until pretending stopped working. Jackson was 42, Army Ranger. 3rd tour Iraq, lost his entire squad to a suicide bomber and spent the next 5 years drowning in whiskey until his wife took the kids and left. Found his way to Montana through a veteran support group that knew about Cole's work. Williams was 37, Marine Corps, Ramadi, traumatic brain injury from mortar fire, could not hold a job because his memory was destroyed. could remember every second of combat in high definition, but could not remember if he had eaten breakfast. Chen was 51, Vietnam-era Navy. Agent Orange exposure the VA denied for 30 years until the evidence became undeniable. By then his health was destroyed and his family was scattered to the winds. And Tommy Castellano, 23, double above-knee amputee. Fallujah, 2023, too young to have seen what he saw, too broken to fake being fine. The newest resident and the one who reminded Cole most painfully of himself at that age. They gathered in the main house for breakfast. Cole cooked, eggs and bacon and toast, coffee that could strip engine blocks. Marcus poured juice and kept up a running commentary designed to make them laugh, making them present, making them remember they were still human. Tommy sat at the end of the table pushing eggs around with his left hand. His right was swollen and purple, definitely broken. Cole set ice beside the kid's plate without comment. Thanks. Get it X-rayed. It is fine. It is broken. Get it X-rayed. Tommy looked up, eyes dark with exhaustion that came from fighting your own brain every night. Does it get better? The hand. The nightmares. Cole could lie, could offer hope, could say what people wanted to hear, but Tommy deserved truth. No, they do not get better, but you learn to function anyway. That is all any of us can do. Function. Wake up, feed the horses, do the work, go to bed, wake up again. String enough days together and eventually you realize you made it through another week. That is not much of a life. No, but it beats the alternative. Tommy took the ice, pressed it to his swollen hand, winced. Breakfast continued in the comfortable silence of men who understood that talking sometimes made things worse. They ate, cleaned up. Marcus assigned morning tasks, fence repair, feed inventory, mucking stalls, the kind of work that kept hands busy and minds from wandering to dark places. By 08:30, Cole was standing outside the main house watching the dirt road that led from the highway, waiting for the government representative who would decide if everything he built survived another year. But the first vehicle to arrive was not from the VA. Sheriff's Department, 2 cruisers, lights off but moving fast. Sheriff James Dakota climbed out first. 60 years old, former Army Ranger, weathered face that had seen most of what Montana could throw at a man. He had been King Whitmore's friend once, before the friendship became complicated by what King did for a living. Now Dakota walked toward Cole with the careful steps of a man delivering bad news. Morning, Cole. Sheriff. We got a situation. Dakota gestured toward the north pasture. Cole followed his gaze and felt his stomach drop. One of the perimeter fence posts had something hanging from it. Dark. Irregular. Cole was moving before conscious thought, Marcus falling in beside him, both men covering ground with the efficient pace of soldiers who had learned to hurry toward bad things because waiting made them worse. It was a coyote. Gutted, skinned, hung by wire from the fence post with its mouth propped open by a stick, fresh enough that blood still dripped, and carved into the wooden post beneath it, letters deep and clean. Tock, little brother. Cole's hands clenched into fists. Marcus had his phone out, taking pictures. Dakota arrived behind them, breathing hard. How long you figure it has been here? Since last night sometime. Coyote blood is still liquid. That is maybe 6 hours old. Any of your residents see anything? We run watch rotation. Chen had graveyard shift. I will ask him. Cole was staring at the message. The handwriting was familiar. He had seen it on 100 letters over 3 years. Ethan's handwriting. Precise. Controlled. The penmanship of a man who did everything with deliberate intent. "This is a threat," Dakota said. "Against you specifically. You need to tell me what is going on." Family business. Your family business just escalated to animal cruelty and criminal intimidation. That makes it my business. Cole turned to face the sheriff directly. "My brother wants me to come home. Get involved in operations I walked away from 12 years ago. I have been ignoring him, so he is making his position clear." "What operations?" "The kind that got my father killed 3 years ago." Dakota's expression went hard. "King was cooperating with federal investigators before he died. Did you know that?" "I heard. He came to me 2 weeks before the hit, said he was going straight, said he wanted to leave you boys something clean, said Ethan was against it but he was doing it anyway. And 2 weeks later he was dead. And your brother took over seamless. No power struggle, no chaos, just clean transition. Because Ethan killed him." "Can you prove that?" "No. Neither can I, but I have thought it for 3 years. And now your brother is leaving dead animals on your fence with messages. That tells me he is escalating. And when men like Ethan escalate, people die." "What do you want me to do about it?" "Talk to the feds. They have been watching your brother for 8 months. Weapons trafficking. Partnership with Mexican cartels. They want to shut him down. They need someone on the inside." "I have been gone for 12 years. You are still a Whitmore. You still know how the organization works. You could help them build a case." "And if I refuse?" "Then your brother keeps escalating until you comply or until everyone you care about is dead." Cole looked back at the gutted coyote, at the message carved with the same precision Ethan applied to everything. Tick-tock, time running out, choices narrowing. "I need to think." "You do not have time to think. Your brother just hung a dead animal on your fence. What do you think comes next?" But Dakota's radio crackled before Cole could answer. Dispatcher's voice, urgent. "Sheriff, we got a white Ford F-150 requesting emergency assistance at the Whitmore Ranch. Driver says she is VA official, says she has been followed since leaving the highway. 2 vehicles, black SUVs, no plates, requesting immediate backup." Sarah Mitchell. The VA inspector. Being followed to second chances, ranch, by vehicles with no plates. Cole was moving before Dakota finished acknowledging. Back toward the main house at a run. Marcus keeping pace despite the prosthetic. They hit the yard as a white F-150 came skidding around the last turn, dust cloud rising behind it. 2 black Escalades following close. The F-150 slammed to a stop near the main house. Woman climbed out fast, late 30s, dark hair, gray eyes that were calm despite the situation. She had a tablet in one hand and what looked like a military-issue Sig Sauer 9mm in the other. "Dr. Sarah Mitchell, VA Equine Therapy Assessment. Those vehicles have been on me since I left Kalispell. They tried to box me in twice. I need law enforcement now." The Escalade stopped 50 yards out, engines running, windows tinted black. Nobody got out. Dakota had his service weapon drawn, positioned behind his cruiser door. "This is Sheriff Dakota. You are on private property. Exit your vehicles with hands visible or I will consider you hostile." The Escalade sat there idling. 30 seconds. 60. Then they reversed, turned, drove back down the access road at careful legal speed. Gone but not gone. Message delivered without a word spoken. Sarah Mitchell lowered her weapon with the practiced ease of someone who had trained with it extensively. She turned to Cole. "You must be Cole Whitmore." "I am." "Someone want to tell me, Why I just got followed by cartel enforcement to a veteran recovery ranch in Montana. Cole looked at Dakota, at Marcus, at the stable where Ghost was probably wondering where breakfast was, at the bunkhouse where 12 damaged men were trying to build something resembling a life. Then he looked back at Sarah Mitchell with her gray eyes and her service weapon and her VA credentials. Because my brother wants me to know he can reach anyone, anytime, anywhere. And who exactly is your brother? His name is Ethan Whitmore, and 3 years ago he murdered our father to keep control of the family business. And now he is trafficking weapons to Mexican cartels. And apparently he decided to make his point by following a federal employee to my ranch. Sarah holstered her weapon, smoothed her hair, adjusted her tablet like being followed by cartel muscle was just another Tuesday. Well, this complicates my assessment, but I am still doing it. I drove 4 hours to evaluate this program, and I am not leaving until I do. She walked past all of them toward the stable like nothing had happened. Cole stared after her. Marcus made a sound that might have been a laugh. I like her. Dakota was still watching the road, where the Escalades had disappeared. Cole, this is not a warning anymore. This is a declaration. Your brother is coming for you, and everyone around you is now a target. I know. So what are you going to do? Cole thought about Ghost waiting for breakfast, about Tommy with his broken hand and his broken mind, about 12 men who needed this place to survive, about a woman with a VA badge and a service weapon who had just been threatened because she was driving to his ranch, about Ethan somewhere in Billings or Vegas or wherever criminals ran their empires, sitting behind a desk and deciding which pieces to move next on a board where people were pawns. About his father bleeding out on mahogany flooring while his eldest son stood watching. About 3 years of pretending blood could be outrun. The only way out is through. I am going to do my job, feed the horses, run the program, and when this VA inspector is done, I am going to make some calls, because Marcus is right. Hiding does not work, and Ethan just made this personal. Dakota nodded slowly. The feds will want to talk to you. Agent Rachel Torres, FBI. She is running the investigation. I will make the connection. Do it. Cole walked toward the stable where Sarah Mitchell was already photographing stalls with professional efficiency. She looked up when he entered. Your facility is clean. That is good. But we need to talk about the security situation. Because I have 12 other programs to assess after this one, and I cannot do my job if I am being followed by cartel enforcement. I will handle it. How? By doing what I should have done 3 years ago, going home, facing my brother, and ending this before anyone else gets hurt. She studied him for a long moment, those gray eyes seeing more than he wanted to show. You were military. Navy, SEAL. I was Army, intelligence, 8 years. I know what operators look like, and I know what men look like when they are about to do something dangerous. Then you know I do not have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Not when the alternative is watching innocent people die, because I was too much of a coward to deal with my own family. Sarah made a note on her tablet, moved to the next stall, continued her assessment like they were discussing whether instead of cartel violence. My husband was 75th Ranger Regiment, Captain James Mitchell. He died in Kandahar, 2014. Operation Red Wing Aftermath. Cole went still. I was there. I know, I read your file before I drove up here. Wanted to understand who was running this program. You lost 3 men. Davis, Kowalski, Martinez. You held Martinez while he bled out, 47 minutes before medevac arrived. How do you know that? Because my husband was coordinating air support that never came. Because he died trying to get to you. Because I spent the last 10 years reading after action reports trying to understand why he did not come home. I am sorry. So am I, but sorry does not change anything. He is still dead. You are still here. And we both have to figure out what to do with that. She moved to Ghost's stall. The big gray gelding watched her with cautious interest. This one is special to you. His name is Ghost. First horse I saved. Took a year before he would let me touch him. Trauma recovery in action. For both of us. Sarah reached out slowly. Let Ghost smell her hand. The gelding allowed it. Small sign of trust that Cole knew meant everything. I am recommending full funding continuation, she said without looking away from the horse. Your program exceeds every standard. Your residents show measurable improvement. Your horses are well cared for. This place matters. Thank you. But if your brother is targeting federal employees, I need to report it. That brings additional agencies into play. ATF, DEA, FBI, possibly Homeland Security if the cartel connection is substantiated. I understand. Do you? Because once I make that call, this becomes bigger than you and your brother. This becomes a federal case, and you become either a witness or an accessory. There is no middle ground. I will be a witness, even if it means testifying against your own blood. Especially if it means that. Sarah finally looked at him directly. Why? Because my father wanted out and my brother killed him for it. Because 12 damaged veterans are trying to rebuild their lives here and Ethan just threatened them. Because a good woman drove 4 hours to do her job and got followed by cartel muscle because of my last name. Because I am tired of pretending I can outrun what I am. And what are you? A Whitmore, which means I come from criminals and killers, but it does not mean I have to be one, not anymore. Sarah held his gaze for 3 heartbeats. Then we do this right. I make my calls, you make yours, and we build a case that puts your brother away for the rest of his life. Agreed. She extended her hand, professional, firm, the handshake of 2 people entering into something neither fully understood yet. The assessment took 2 more hours. Sarah photographed everything, interviewed residents, watched Cole work with Ghost in the round pen, demonstrating the trust-building exercises that formed the foundation of the program. She took pages of notes, asked questions that showed she understood both equine therapy and military trauma. Tommy Castellano opened up to her in a way he never had with Cole. Maybe because she was a woman, maybe because she was a widow, maybe because she did not bullshit him about whether it got better. It does not get better, she told him, but you get stronger, strong enough to carry it. That is all any of us can do. The kid actually smiled. First time Cole had seen that. Around 1300 hours, they took a break. Sarah accepted coffee. They sat on the porch of the main house looking out over paddocks where several residents worked horses under Marcus's supervision. Your master chief is good, Sarah said. Knows when to push and when to let them work it out themselves. He kept me alive in more ways than one. That is what good NCOs do. They were quiet for a moment, comfortable silence, the kind that came from shared experience rather than lack of words. Sarah's phone buzzed. She checked it, frowned. FBI wants a meeting. Today, Agent tours. She is already en route. That was fast. She was probably already planning to contact you. The escalades just accelerated the timeline. How long have they been watching my brother? 8 months, since they caught wind of the weapons trafficking. They have been building a case, but they need someone on the inside. Someone Ethan would trust. He will not trust me. I have been gone 12 years. But you are blood, and you just got threatened. That gives you a plausible reason to come back. Prodigal son returning, looking for protection, family reconciliation. You want me to go undercover. I want you to consider it, because sitting here waiting for your brother to escalate is not a strategy. It is just slow death. She was right. Cole knew she was right. Had known it since he saw the gutted coyote and the carved message. Tick-tock, little brother. Time running out. A black sedan pulled into the yard. Government plates. Woman climbed out. Late 40s, athletic, dark suit. Eyes that cataloged everything in 3 seconds and made threat assessments before introducing herself. Agent Rachel Torres, FBI, Mr. Whitmore. Dr. Mitchell, we need to talk. They went inside. Torres had files, laptops, 8 months of surveillance documentation. She laid it out with brutal efficiency. Your brother has been trafficking military weapons stolen from Fort Harrison. M4 carbines, AR-15 rifles, grenades, night vision equipment. He is selling to Mexican cartels through a network that spans 6 states. We estimate 20 million in sales, maybe 40 million in street value once distributed. She showed photographs, shipping manifests, surveillance images of Ethan meeting with men who looked like exactly what they were. We need someone on the inside, someone he would trust enough to bring into operations, someone who can wear a wire and gather evidence for federal prosecution. You want me to infiltrate my own brother's organization? Yes. Why would he trust me? Because you are blood. Because he has been trying to bring you home for 3 years. Because you are a former SEAL with tactical skills he needs. And because we are going to make it look like you have no choice. What does that mean? Torres pulled out another file. This one had Cole's name on it. We are going to pressure you, publicly. Make it look like you are in financial trouble, like the ranch is failing, like you need money and you are willing to go back to family to get it. That gives you a plausible reason to come home. Desperation instead of reconciliation. You are going to destroy my reputation. We are going to make it look destroyed. Big difference. Everything gets fixed once your brother is in custody. Full exoneration, public statement, clean record. And if he kills me before that happens, then you die a hero, and we make sure everyone knows it. Not much of a sales pitch. I am not selling. I am stating facts. This is dangerous. Your brother is a killer. He murdered your father. He will murder you if he suspects you are working with us. But if you help us, we can shut down his operation and prevent weapons from reaching cartels that kill American citizens. Cole looked at Sarah. She was watching him with those gray eyes, not telling him what to do, just being present while he decided. He thought about Ghost, about Tommy, about Marcus and Jackson and Williams and Chen and all the broken men who needed second chances to survive. About his father bleeding out while trying to go straight. About Ethan standing in a doorway with a smoking gun and no regret. What would I have to do? Wear a wire, get him to talk about operations, be present during weapons transfers, gather evidence, we handle the rest. How long? 2 weeks, maybe less if he moves fast on his next shipment. We intercept. Mass arrest. Your testimony plus recordings give us life sentences. What about witness protection after? Available, but I am guessing you would rather stay here, fight for what you built. Yes. Then we make sure you can. But first you have to walk into hell and smile while doing it. Cole stood, walked to the window, looked out at the ranch, at everything that mattered. When do we start? Tomorrow we prep you, wire protocols, emergency extraction, cover story. Day after that, you make contact with your brother. And what do I tell my residents, my staff? The truth, that you are trying to protect them, that you are going away for a while, that Marcus is in charge. They will worry. Let them. Worry keeps people sharp. Cole turned back to face Tors. If I do this, I need guarantees. Full protection for everyone on this property. Immunity for anything I say about the past. And when this is done, Ethan goes to prison for the rest of his life. Agreed. Tors extended her hand. Cole took it. The die was cast. Sarah made calls to her VA superiors, explained the situation, secured authorization to remain on site. Tors set up a command post in the main house, laptops and files spreading across the dining table like an invasion. By 1800 hours, the plan was in motion. Cole gathered the residents, told them the truth about his family, about Ethan, about the threat, about what he was going to do. Tommy spoke first. You are coming back, though. I will try. That is all any of us can do. The kid was learning. Marcus pulled Cole aside after. I am coming with you. No, you are staying here, protecting them, making sure Ethan does not retaliate against the ranch while I am gone. Brother, you do not walk into that alone. I am not alone. FBI will have my back. FBI will have your back until it is inconvenient. Then you are expendable. You know that. Yes. And you are doing it anyway. Because there is no other choice. Marcus gripped his shoulder hard enough to hurt. Then you come back. You hear me? You do not die for this. You do not become another name on a wall. You come back. I will try. Try harder. By 2200 hours, everyone had their assignments. Marcus running the ranch. Sarah coordinating with FBI and VA. Tors managing the operation from command post. Deputies increasing patrols. Cole did a final check of the stable, said goodnight to each horse, lingered longest with Ghost. The gray gelding stood quiet, trusting, patient. I am going away for a while. Marcus will take care of you. I will be back. Ghost exhaled softly against his chest. Cole pressed his forehead to the warm neck and breathed in hay and horse, and the smell of something worth fighting for. I promise. He locked the stable at 2300, walked back to his cabin through darkness that felt heavy with possibility. Tomorrow he would start preparing. Day after he would make contact with Ethan. No more running. No more pretending. Just blood and dust, and the only way out being through. Cole took his evening meds, set his alarm for 0500, lay down in bed and stared at the ceiling. Sleep came eventually. Full of dust and heat and faces that would not age past the moment they stopped breathing. But also full of Ghost's warm breath. Tommy's small smile. Sarah's gray eyes. Marcus's stubborn loyalty. Things worth waking up for. Things worth fighting for. Even if fighting meant becoming dangerous again. Even if fighting meant using skills he had spent 12 years trying to forget. Even if fighting meant crossing lines he swore he would never cross. Because Ethan had made his choice 3 years ago when he put 3 bullets in their father's chest. Now Cole was making his. Not revenge. Justice. There was a difference. Even if the line between them was thinner than he wanted to admit. Cole woke at 0430. 30 minutes early. Something was wrong. He knew it before conscious thought, the same way he had known in Kandahar seconds before the IED detonated. Situational awareness that bordered on precognition. The kind that kept you alive when everyone else died. He dressed fast, grabbed his flashlight. The Sig Sauer P226 he had not carried in 3 years, checked the magazine. Full, one in the chamber. Old habits. Outside, the ranch was too quiet. No wind, no coyotes, no sound at all except his own breathing. Cole moved toward the stable at tactical pace, weapon low ready, flashlight dark, letting his eyes adjust to starlight. The stable door stood open. He had locked it, knew he had locked it, checked it every night without exception. Now it was open. Cole went through the door like they taught him. Pie the corner, clear the angles, weapon up, ready. 11 horses stood in their stalls, nervous, ears flat, eyes showing white. The 12th stall was silent. Cole moved toward it with dread building like ice water in his chest. Ghost lay on his side in the straw. Not sleeping. Not resting. Dead in the way that only death was still. Cole was on his knees before thought, hands checking for pulse, for breath, for anything, finding nothing. The gelding's eyes were open, already clouding, tongue protruding, foam dried on lips. Syringe near the water bucket, empty, no label. Someone had been here. Had poisoned Ghost. Had killed the one horse that meant more than all the others combined. Cole stood on legs that shook despite 12 years of discipline, swept his flashlight around the stall. Found it carved into the back wall. Fresh, deep, precise. Come home or THUI all die. E. But there was more this time. Below the message, names. Tommy, MARCUS, Jackson, Williams, CHEN. Every resident. Listed like a hit list. And at the bottom, one more line. 24 hours. Cole heard footsteps behind him, spun, weapon up. Tors stood in the stable doorway with her own weapon drawn. Behind her, Sarah. Behind Sarah, Marcus moving fast despite the prosthetic. They saw Ghost. Understood immediately. Tors lowered her weapon. Ethan just accelerated the timeline. Cole stared at the list of names carved into wood. At the deadline. 24 hours. He looked at Tors. Change of plans. I am not waiting 2 days to prep. I am going now. Now is not ready. Ready does not matter. My brother just threatened to kill 12 men if I do not comply within 24 hours. I am complying, but on my terms. What terms? I go to Billings. I find Ethan. I tell him I am in, and I record every word while doing it. That is suicide. That is the only move we have. Because if I wait, he starts killing my residents one by one until I show up anyway. Tors studied him for 3 seconds. Then nodded. Get your gear. We wire you in the truck on the way. You will be in Billings by 0800. Sarah stepped forward. I am coming with you. No, this is federal operation. I am VA liaison for this program. If it is threatened, I go where the threat is. Besides, you need cover. Former SEAL showing up desperate looks suspicious. Former SEAL showing up with his VA caseworker trying to save his program looks desperate and plausible. Tors considered. She is right. 2-person team is more believable than one. Cole looked at Sarah. This is dangerous. Everything worth doing is dangerous. He could not argue with that. Marcus pulled him aside while Tors and Sarah coordinated logistics. I am staying here, protecting the residents. But brother, you listen to me. Ethan is a killer. He murdered your father in cold blood. He will do the same to you if he gets the chance." "I know." "Then do not give him the chance. You go in hard, you get what you need. You get out, and you do not try to be a hero." "I am not a hero. I am just a man trying to protect his people." "That is what makes you a hero, you stubborn son of a bitch." They gripped forearms. Warriors farewell. No guarantees, just acknowledgement that one or both might not come back. By 0500, Cole was packed. Duffel bag, weapon, wire equipment tours was setting up. Sarah had her own gear, her own weapon, the kind of preparation that spoke to someone who had done dangerous things before. The residents gathered as the sun started rising. 12 men who looked like they wanted to argue but knew better. Tommy stepped forward. "Bring him down." "I will." "For Ghost." "For Ghost." Marcus stood in the yard as they climbed into Tor's sedan, hand raised, not quite a salute, more like a promise. "I will keep them safe." "I know." Tors drove. Sarah rode shotgun. Cole sat in back while Tors explained wire protocols. "Microphone here. Transmitter here. Emergency signal is scratching your left ear twice. Extraction team will move immediately." "What extraction team?" 8 FBI agents, 4 vehicles, positioned around Billings. You signal, they come running." "And if Ethan searches me?" "The wire is designed to look like part of your shirt tag. Most people do not check there, but if he does, you are blown. And then it becomes a hostage situation." "Comforting." "I am not here to comfort. I'm here to state facts." They drove through sunrise. Montana giving way to highway, giving way to Billings city limits. Cole had not been back in 12 years. The city looked the same, felt the same. The kind of place where money moved in shadows and law enforcement existed in uncomfortable balance with crime. Whitmore territory was North Side. Casinos and restaurants and businesses that looked legitimate until you understood what they really were. Tors parked at a hotel downtown. "We set up here. Command post, monitoring equipment. You make contact with your brother, we listen to everything." "How do I contact him?" "His casino, the Royal Flush. He runs operations from the back office. You show up, you ask to see him, you make your pitch." "And my pitch is?" "Desperate, scared, willing to do anything to protect your ranch and your residents. You need money, you need protection, you need family, and you are finally willing to admit it." Cole looked at himself in the rearview mirror. Saw his father's eyes. Ethan's face. Whitmore blood in every feature. How do I fake desperation when I actually am desperate? You do not fake it, you let it be real. That is how you sell it. They went upstairs. Tors set up equipment. Sarah ran comms checks. Cole stood by the window watching the city where he was born. Where his father died. Where his brother ruled an empire built on corpses. 24 hours. Tick-tock. Tors handed him the wire. He put it on, tested it, clear signal. Sarah double-checked the placement. Her hands were steady, professional, but when their eyes met, something passed between them. Understanding, acknowledgement. 2 people who had lost everything and were trying to build something from the ashes. Be careful. Always. Liar. She was right. By 0800, Cole was standing outside the Royal Flush Casino. 3-story building, neon sign, valet parking, the kind of place that looked clean until you knew what happened in the basement. He walked through the front door like he owned the place. Because once upon a time, he did. Security recognized him immediately. Whispers and stares. The prodigal son. The SEAL. The one who left. Cole walked to the main desk. I need to see Ethan. Tell him his brother is here. The desk manager went pale. Made a call. 30 seconds later, 2 men in suits appeared. Not asking, escorting. They took him through the casino, past slot machines and card tables and people losing money they could not afford to lose, through a door marked private, upstairs, down a hallway that smelled like expensive carpet and old cigars, to a door at the end. One of the suits knocked. Come. Ethan's voice, familiar, unchanged. The door opened. Cole stepped through and saw his brother for the first time in 12 years. Ethan Whitmore sat behind a desk that had belonged to their father, 42 years old, graying at the temples, dressed in a suit that cost more than most people made in a month. He looked up from paperwork and smiled. Little brother, welcome home. Cole stood in front of the desk, hands loose, body language reading defeated instead of dangerous. I need to talk. I figured, otherwise you would not be here. Sit. Cole sat. Ethan poured 2 glasses of scotch from a crystal decanter, slid one across the desk. To family. Cole did not touch the glass. You killed Ghost. I made my position clear. You have been ignoring me for 3 years. I needed to get your attention. You got it. Good, then we can have an honest conversation about why you are really here, about what you need, about what I can provide. Ethan leaned back in the chair that used to be King's, master of everything he surveyed. Tell me, Cole, what brought you home? Cole met his brother's eyes. Saw the killer underneath. The man who put 3 bullets in their father's chest. And he started talking. Started selling the lie that was actually truth. Started walking into hell with a wire on his chest and a prayer that he would walk back out. Because Ghost deserved justice. Tommy deserved safety. The ranch deserved to survive. And Ethan deserved exactly what was coming. Even if Cole had to become a Whitmore again to deliver it. The conversation was being recorded. Every word. Every confession. Every piece of evidence the FBI needed to bury Ethan for life. Cole just had to survive long enough to deliver it. 24 hours. Tick-tock. The clock was running. Ethan Whitmore's office smelled like their father's cigars, and something underneath that might have been blood or maybe just guilt made manifest. Cole sat across the desk that used to belong to King, the wire pressed against his chest like a second heartbeat, and looked into his brother's eyes. Saw the killer there. Saw the man who had stood in a doorway with a smoking gun and watched their father bleed out on imported flooring. Saw himself reflected back, same face, same blood, different choices. Tell me, Cole, what brought you home? Ethan's voice was patient, curious, the tone of a man who already knew the answer but wanted to hear it spoken anyway. Cole let his shoulders drop, let exhaustion show in his posture. The wire was recording. Tors and Sarah were listening from the hotel room 3 miles away. 8 FBI agents positioned around Billings waiting for his signal. He just had to sell the lie that was actually truth. You did. Your message was clear. Come home or watch everything I built die. Ethan poured more scotch, slid the glass closer, waited. And you chose to come home, after 12 years of silence, after missing the funeral, after ignoring every letter. You finally chose family. I chose survival. Interesting distinction. Cole picked up the glass, did not drink, just held it, gave his hands something to do besides shake. You killed Ghost. You threatened my residence. You gave me 24 hours. I am here. What do you want? Ethan leaned back in the chair, steepled his fingers. The gesture was pure king. Their father used to do the same thing before pronouncing judgment on men who had disappointed him. What I want is what I have always wanted. My brother. My family. The only person in this world who shares my blood and actually matters. You murdered our father. The words hung in the air like gun smoke. Ethan did not blink. Yes. Just like that, admission, confession, pride even. Cole felt rage building in his chest but forced it down. The wire was recording. This was evidence. This was what Tors needed. Why? Because he was weak. Because he was going to destroy everything we built. Everything he built. Our father spent 40 years creating an empire, and he was going to burn it down for some misguided attempt at redemption. He wanted out, wanted to go legitimate. He wanted to be weak, to run from what he was, to pretend blood could be washed clean. You know better than that, Cole. You spent 12 years trying to outrun what we are. Did it work? No. Because Whitmore blood does not wash off. We are what we are. Criminals, killers, men who take what we need and destroy what gets in our way. Father forgot that. Got soft. Started talking to federal investigators about cooperation and witness protection. So you killed him. So I saved him from humiliation, from prison, from dying as a traitor to everything he built. I gave him a warrior's death. Quick, clean, in his own home. Ethan stood, walked to the window overlooking the casino floor below. 3 stories of gambling and drinking, and people losing money they could not afford to lose. I took over, expanded operations, upgraded from Father's small-time gambling and protection to something bigger, better, more profitable. We are international now. Partnerships with organizations that span continents. Revenue streams Father never imagined. Cole's jaw clenched. The wire was getting all of this. Tors would be making notes, building the case. What kind of partnerships? The kind that require discretion. The kind that require family loyalty. The kind that require me to know I can trust you completely. Ethan turned from the window. Which brings us to the question at hand. Why should I trust you? You left us, joined the military, became everything Father despised, a government dog, a servant of bureaucrats and politicians. You chose that over blood. I chose honor. Honor, Ethan laughed. The sound was bitter. You think there is honor in following orders, in killing strangers because men in suits point at maps and say these are the bad guys. At least we are honest about what we are. We do not pretend to be noble while committing murder. I protected my country. You murdered for politicians. I murder for family. Tell me which is more honest. Cole could not argue with twisted logic because twisted logic was designed to be unarguable. Ethan had spent 3 years justifying patricide. No amount of reasoning would penetrate that kind of delusion. So he changed tactics. I am not here to debate morality. I am here because you threatened the only thing that matters to me. My ranch, my residence. 12 men who served their country and came home broken. I built something for them, something clean, and you are threatening to destroy it. Because I need you to understand consequences. I need you to understand that ignoring family has a price. I need you to choose. Between what? Between them and us. Between your veterans and your blood. Between the man you pretend to be and the man you actually are. Ethan sat back down, leaned forward across the desk, close enough that Cole could smell the scotch on his breath. I am offering you a place in the organization. Real power, real money, Enough to save your ranch 10 times over, enough to expand, to help hundreds of veterans instead of 12, to actually make a difference instead of playing cowboy in Montana. And what do I have to do? Prove you are a Whitmore. Prove you can be trusted. Prove you remember what loyalty means. How? Come to dinner tonight. Meet my partners. Show them you are serious. Show them you are committed, and then we will discuss specifics. Cole's phone buzzed in his pocket. Text from Tours. Keep HIM talking. Need more specifics on operations. He ignored it. What partners? Business associates. People I work with. People who need to know they can trust you before we bring you into operations. And if I refuse? Then I start with Tommy, young double amputee, barely out of his 20s, whole life ahead of him, be a shame if he had an accident, fall down the stairs, wrong medication in his VA prescriptions. These things happen. Cole's hands clenched into fists under the table. The wire recorded the threat. Recorded evidence of conspiracy to commit murder. Recorded everything Tours needed to get a warrant. But warrants took time. And Tommy did not have time. Where and when? Ethan smiled, genuine pleasure. The estate, father's old place. 1900 hours. Bring your VA caseworker, the woman who drove you here, Sarah Mitchell. Cole went still. How do you know about Sarah? I know everything that happens in my city. You think I did not have people watching when a VA official got followed by vehicles I did not authorize? You think I do not know she spent the night in the same hotel as you and an FBI agent? Shit. Ethan knew about Tours. Knew about Sarah. Knew everything. The wire might be compromised. The operation might be blown. Cole's training kicked in. Stay calm, assess, adapt. She is my VA liaison. The ranch needs her approval for federal funding. That is why she came. Perhaps she is something else. We will find out tonight. Bring her. If she is what you say she is, no problem. If she is something else, well, problems solve themselves. It was a trap. Obvious trap. But refusing would blow his cover completely. And Ethan would start killing residents one by one. Fine, 1900 hours. We will be there. Excellent, one more thing. Ethan opened a desk drawer, pulled out a phone, burner phone, untraceable. Use this from now on. Your regular phone stays here. Security protocol, you understand. Cole understood perfectly. Ethan was isolating him from FBI contact. Cutting the cord. Making him choose between mission and survival. He took the burner phone, left his regular phone on the desk. Tours and Sarah would lose direct contact. But the wire was still active. Still recording. See you tonight, little brother. Do not be late. Father hated tardiness. Cole stood, walked to the door, every instinct screaming to run, to signal extraction, to get out before the trap closed. But Ghost was dead. Tommy was threatened. 12 men needed him to see this through. He walked out of the office, through the casino, past security who watched him like wolves watching wounded prey, out into Billings' daylight that felt too bright after the darkness inside. His regular phone was gone. No way to contact Tours directly. But the wire was still transmitting. He walked 3 blocks, found an alley, scratched his left ear twice. Emergency extraction signal. 30 seconds later, a black sedan pulled up. Sarah in the passenger seat, Tours driving. Get in. Cole climbed in back, Tours drove. Calm, professional, no panic. We heard everything. Office was clean recording. We got his confession about killing King. We got the threats against Tommy. We got enough for arrest warrants. Then execute them. Get him now before tonight. We cannot. Why not? Because he mentioned partners, business associates. We need names. We need the full network. If we arrest Ethan now, everyone else scatters. We lose the whole organization. So I walk into a trap with Sarah and hope we walk back out. Sarah turned in her seat. Her gray eyes were calm, evaluative. He is testing you, testing us. He suspects something, but he is not sure. If he was sure, you would already be dead. Comforting. I am not here to comfort. I am here to state facts. We go tonight. We maintain cover. We gather intelligence on his partners, and we get out. He threatened you specifically. Said bring the VA caseworker. He knows you stayed at the hotel with me and Tors. He suspects you are FBI. Then we make him unsuspect. I am good at this, Cole. I was an interrogator for 8 years. I know how to read people, how to make them believe what I want them to believe. Tors pulled into an underground parking garage, parked in a corner away from cameras. We have 7 hours to prep. We wire both of you, different frequencies, backup systems. We position tactical team closer, and we pray this works. And if it does not, then we extract, and Ethan starts killing your residents one by one until you surface anyway. So it has to work. Cole looked at Sarah. You do not have to do this. This is not your fight. Yes, it is. Those 12 men on your ranch, they are my responsibility. I approved that program. I recommended funding. If they die because I walked away, that is on me. They might die anyway. Then we die trying to prevent it. That is all any of us can do. She was right. Of course she was right. They spent the next 6 hours preparing. Tors briefed them on the Whitmore estate, floor plans from property records, security camera placements from surveillance, probable guard positions, entry and exit routes. The estate sat on 40 acres north of Billings, gated, walled, the kind of property that screamed money and paranoia in equal measure. King had built it 30 years ago when the organization was small and enemies were plentiful. Now it was Ethan's fortress. Sarah practiced her cover story, VA official, here to assess Cole's ranch, concerned about federal funding, professional, detached, nothing suspicious. They wired them both. Cole's wire stayed in the same position. Shirt tag, difficult to find during casual search. Sarah's wire went into her bra, uncomfortable but effective. Men rarely searched there unless they were absolutely certain. Tors gave them emergency protocols. Signal for extraction is the phrase I need fresh air. Any context, any conversation, you say that, we come. What if we cannot talk? Then you are already dead, and extraction becomes recovery. Not comforting. Not meant to be. By 1800 hours, they were ready. Cole wore the same clothes he had arrived in. Jeans, flannel shirt, boots, looking like a man who had been awake for 36 hours and desperate enough to make bad decisions. Sarah wore slacks and a blazer, professional. The VA caseworker doing her job. Hair pulled back, minimal makeup, nothing that screamed undercover anything. Tors drove them to within a mile of the estate. Remember, you are wired. We hear everything. Tactical team is positioned. Any sign of threat, we move, but try not to get shot before we get there. Appreciate the vote of confidence. Confidence has nothing to do with it. This is a trap. We all know it is a trap. The question is whether the trap is lethal or just testing. You find out which and you act accordingly. Cole and Sarah got out, started walking toward the estate. The Montana sunset painted the sky in shades of blood and copper. Appropriate. Sarah walked beside him without speaking. Professional distance. Two people heading to a business dinner with a crime boss who might kill them both. Just another Tuesday. The estate gates were open, waiting. Security cameras tracked their approach. Two men in suits stood at the main entrance. Earpieces, shoulder holsters visible under jackets, professional security or professional killers. Hard to tell the difference. Names. Cole Whitmore, Sarah Mitchell, we are expected. One guard spoke into his radio, nodded, gestured for them to enter. Mr. Whitmore is waiting in the main dining room. You will be searched before entry. Of course they would. Cole raised his arms, allowed the pat down. Thorough, professional, checking for weapons and wires simultaneously. The guard's hands moved over Cole's chest, paused at the shirt tag, felt the small lump there. Cole's heart rate spiked. This was it. Blown. But the guard moved on, checked the rest, found nothing. Clean. Then he turned to Sarah. Ma'am, I apologize, but I need to search you as well. Sarah smiled, professional, understanding. Of course, security protocols, I understand completely. She raised her arms. The guard hesitated. Female guard stepped forward, conducted the search, careful, respectful, but thorough. Checked jacket, checked slacks, checked shoes. Did not check the bra. Professional courtesy or male squeamishness about touching women there. Either way, Sarah's wire stayed hidden. Both clean. The guards escorted them through the main house. Cole remembered this place, remembered running through these halls as a kid, remembered family dinners where King held court and Ethan competed for attention, and Cole stayed quiet in the corner wondering if he was the only one who saw how wrong this all was. The dining room was exactly as he remembered. Long table, expensive chairs, crystal chandelier imported from somewhere in Europe, paintings on the walls that probably cost more than most people made in a lifetime. Ethan sat at the head of the table, King's chair. To his right, a man Cole did not recognize. 50s, Hispanic, expensive suit, the kind of calm that came from doing terrible things and sleeping fine afterward. To Ethan's left, two more men. One looked military, buzz cut, scars, cold eyes. The other looked like money, soft hands, manicured nails, accountant maybe, or lawyer. And at the far end of the table, Sheriff James Dakota. Cole stopped. Dakota's presence changed everything. The sheriff who had been helping tours. The sheriff who had recordings of King planning to cooperate with feds. The sheriff who claimed Ethan murdered their father. Sitting at Ethan's table like an honored guest. Welcome, Cole, Dr. Mitchell, please sit. Ethan gestured to chairs across from the unknown men. Cole and Sarah sat. Dakota did not make eye contact. Did not acknowledge them at all. Just sipped his wine like this was normal. Cole's mind raced. Possibilities, scenarios. Dakota was undercover. Dakota was compromised. Dakota was a plant. Dakota was dirty. Let me make introductions, Ethan said. To my right, Victor Castellano. He represents our partners in the South, cartel operations, supply chain management. Victor nodded, polite, professional. To my left, Derek Kane, former Marine. He handles security and tactical operations, And his associate, Richard Wang, financial management. Money laundering is such an ugly term. We prefer alternative revenue optimization. Light laughter from around the table. And of course, you know Sheriff Dakota. He has been a friend of the family for many years, very helpful in ensuring local law enforcement remains cooperative. Dakota finally looked at Cole. No apology in his eyes. No explanation. Just cold assessment. And Dr. Mitchell, Ethan continued. Welcome. Cole tells me you are here to assess his ranch for VA funding. Admirable work. Helping our veterans, very patriotic. Sarah smiled, professional warmth. Thank you. The program is impressive. Cole has built something meaningful. 12 residents showing measurable improvement in PTSD symptoms and social reintegration. It deserves continued federal support. And what would it take to ensure that support? Continued compliance with VA standards, regular inspections, documented outcomes, nothing unusual. And if Cole were to become involved in activities that might draw federal attention, would that impact your recommendation? Sarah did not hesitate. My assessment is based on program effectiveness, not the personal activities of the director. As long as the program meets standards, funding continues. Even if the director is engaged in criminal enterprise. Even then, VA funding is for the residents, not the director. 12 veterans should not lose their support because one man makes poor choices. Ethan smiled, approval. You are pragmatic. I appreciate that. So many government officials are rigid, unable to see past their own moral certainty, but you understand how the world actually works. I understand that veterans deserve help regardless of politics or personal drama. Well said. Ethan gestured and servers appeared, brought wine, brought appetizers that probably cost more than Tommy's prosthetics. Cole did not eat, did not drink. Just watched. Victor Castellano spoke for the first time, accent evident but English perfect. Your brother tells me you were Navy SEAL. 12 years, multiple deployments, impressive record. Thank you. I was Mexican Special Forces before I transitioned to private sector work. I respect warriors. Men who understand violence is a tool, not a sin. Men who can make hard decisions. What kind of decisions? The kind that keep operations running smoothly. The kind that eliminate problems before they become crises. The kind your brother tells me you are capable of making. Cole met Victor's eyes. Saw a killer there. Professional, efficient, emotionless. The kind of man who had done terrible things so many times they stopped registering as terrible. I can make hard decisions. Good, because we have a shipment arriving tomorrow night. 15 crates. Special cargo. It needs to be transported from Fort Harrison to a distribution point on the Canadian border. Security will be tight. We need someone with tactical expertise to ensure smooth delivery. Fort Harrison was Army base, 60 miles from Billings. Special cargo meant stolen military weapons. This was the evidence Torres needed. Cole glanced at Sarah, subtle, quick. She showed nothing. What is the cargo? Victor smiled. Let us say it is hardware that our southern partners have requested. Hardware that is difficult to acquire through normal channels. Hardware that your military guards very carefully. Stolen weapons. Redistributed resources. And you want me to help transport them. We want to assess your capabilities. Your brother vouches for you, but trust must be earned. This shipment is worth $20 million. If it arrives safely, you have proven yourself. If it does not, well, Proof works both ways. It was a test. Obvious test. Participate in weapons trafficking, or prove you cannot be trusted. Cole looked at Ethan. And if I refuse? Then we know you are not serious. Then we know you are still playing soldier instead of being family. Then consequences begin, starting with your ranch, ending with your residence. Ethan's voice was calm, matter of fact, discussing murder like discussing weather. Cole had no choice. Refusing meant blown cover. Accepting meant federal crime. But accepting while wired meant evidence. Evidence Tors could use to arrest everyone at this table. When and where? Victor pulled out a phone, showed a map, coordinates, routes, timing. Tomorrow night, 2200 hours, rendezvous here, you drive lead vehicle. My men follow, we deliver, you collect payment. Simple. Nothing about this was simple. But Cole nodded. I will be there. Excellent. Dinner continued. Small talk about business and money and operations spanning 3 countries. Evidence piling up with every sentence. The wire recording everything. Sheriff Dakota remained silent through most of it. Just eating, drinking, existing. Finally, Cole addressed him directly. Sheriff, I am surprised to see you here. Dakota set down his wine glass. Why, your father and I were friends for 40 years. I helped build this organization as much as he did. You think I was just local law enforcement? I was insurance. I was protection. I was the reason King never spent a day in jail despite 40 years of criminal activity. You told me you had recordings, that King wanted out, that he was cooperating with feds. I lied. King was going to cooperate. I could not allow that, so I helped your brother solve the problem. You helped kill my father. I helped preserve what your father built. King got weak, sentimental, started talking about legacy and redemption. Ethan understood what I understood. Some men are criminals. Trying to be anything else is just slow suicide. The wire was recording. Recording Dakota's confession. Recording conspiracy to murder. Recording everything. Tors was hearing this. Tactical team was hearing this. But they could not move yet. Not until the weapons shipment. Not until they had the full network. Cole forced himself to stay calm. So you betrayed him. I saved the organization, and I will do it again if necessary. Which brings me to you. You show up after 12 years claiming you want back in, claiming you need family, but I have been watching. I have seen the way you look at your brother. I have seen the tension. I have seen the doubt. Dakota stood, walked around the table, stopped behind Cole's chair. I think you are wearing a wire. I think you are working with FBI. I think this whole thing is a setup. Cole's blood went cold. Sarah's hand moved slightly. Emergency signal position. But Ethan laughed. Relax, Sheriff. I already considered that. Cole was searched. Dr. Mitchell was searched. Both clean. And besides, if he was FBI, would he really walk into this room? Would he really sit here and listen to us confess to murder and trafficking? Would he really agree to transport 20 million in stolen weapons? No, he would run, he would signal for help, he would do something. But he is sitting here, calm, accepting, because he knows he has no choice, because he knows blood is blood. Unless he is very well trained, Dakota said. Unless he is waiting for the right moment. Unless this is all performance. Then we will test him. Ethan nodded to Derek Kane, the former Marine. Kane stood, pulled a pistol, placed it on the table in front of Cole. 9mm, loaded, safety off. There is a man in the basement, Ethan said. One of our associates who made a mistake, who stole from us, who needs to be dealt with. You are going to go down there. You are going to put a bullet in his head. You are going to prove you are serious." Cole stared at the weapon, at the test, at the line he would have to cross. The wire was recording. Tors was listening. Tactical team was positioned. But extracting now meant Ethan scattered. Meant the organization survived. Meant more weapons reached cartels. Meant more Americans died. Sarah spoke quietly. "This is not part of VA assessment protocols." "Nobody asked you," Ethan said. "Cole, take the gun, go downstairs, handle it, or admit you are not one of us." Cole's hand moved toward the weapon. Stopped. Started again. The weight of it was familiar. He had carried weapons for 12 years, had killed with them. Taliban fighters, insurgents, enemy combatants. But this was different. This was murder. This was becoming exactly what his father had been. Exactly what Ethan was. His fingers closed around the grip. Tors would be screaming into her radio right now, demanding he signal for extraction. But extraction meant failure. Meant Ghost died for nothing. Meant Tommy and the others stayed in danger. Cole stood, gun in hand. "Where is he?" "Basement, second door on the left. You have 5 minutes. We will be watching on cameras." Of course they would. Cole walked out of the dining room. Sarah's eyes followed him, concerned, afraid. He descended stairs to the basement. Same basement where he and Ethan used to play as kids. Now it was something else. Interrogation rooms, holding cells, the infrastructure of a criminal empire. Second door on the left. Cole opened it. Inside, a man sat zip-tied to a chair. 30s, Hispanic, bloodied face, broken nose, fear in his eyes. "Please, I did not steal, I swear. I was going to pay it back, please." Cole raised the weapon. Aimed at the man's head. His finger on the trigger. The wire recording everything. Tors listening. Sarah listening. Ethan watching on cameras. The man closed his eyes, started praying in Spanish, rapid, desperate. Cole's hand was steady. 12 years of training. 12 years of killing. 12 years of being exactly the kind of man who could pull this trigger without hesitation. But 12 years since he left this world. 12 years trying to be different. 12 years building something clean. His finger tightened on the trigger. Almost there. Almost crossing the line. Then he lowered the weapon. Turned. Walked out. Climbed the stairs back to the dining room. Ethan was waiting, smiling. "Well, he is still alive." "Why?" "Because I am not a murderer. Because I left this world 12 years ago and I am not coming back. Because whatever you think I am, you are wrong." Ethan's smile widened. "Perfect." Cole stopped, confused. "Perfect." There was no one in that basement, just an empty chair. Cameras showed an empty room. This was the test. To see if you would lie. To see if you would claim you killed a man who did not exist. If you had lied, I would know you were performing. But you told the truth. You refused. You proved you are not FBI. FBI would have played along, would have faked it, but you did not, because you are my brother. The logic was twisted. But it was Ethan's logic. And it worked. Cole had passed the test by failing it. Had proven loyalty by refusing murder. Ethan stood, embraced him, hard, brief. Welcome home, little brother. Tomorrow night, 2200 hours, we move the shipment. And after that, you are family again. Truly. Cole felt the wire pressed between them. Still recording. Still gathering evidence. Still building the case. But at what cost? Dinner ended shortly after. Victor and Derek and Richard left with handshakes and promises of future cooperation. Dakota left without speaking to Cole again, just a look that said, "I am watching you." Ethan walked them to the door. "Dr. Mitchell, thank you for joining us. I hope this evening has not changed your assessment of Cole's program." "Not at all. My recommendation stands." "Good, because it would be unfortunate if federal funding disappeared at such a critical time. Veterans deserve support, even if their benefactor is making questionable life choices." Sarah smiled, professional, cold. "I agree completely." They walked out into Montana night. Got into the waiting sedan. Tours drove. Nobody spoke until they were 3 miles from the estate. Then Tours exploded. "What the fuck was that? You almost killed a man on camera. You almost blew the entire operation. You almost proved every suspicion Ethan has." "There was no man. It was a test." "We know, we heard. But you did not know that when you walked in. You pointed a loaded weapon at what you thought was a person. You put your finger on the trigger. If there had been someone there, would you have pulled it?" Cole did not answer. Could not answer. Because he did not know. Sarah spoke quietly from the passenger seat. "He passed the test. That is what matters. Ethan believes him now. We can move forward." Forward to what? Tours demanded. To Cole actually committing federal crimes. To participating in weapons trafficking. To becoming an accessory to everything we are trying to stop. To gathering evidence, Sarah said. To being present when the shipment moves. To recording names and routes and distribution networks. To giving you everything you need to shut down this organization completely. And what if Ethan searches him again? What if the wire is found? What if Cole gets killed doing this? "Then he gets killed doing this," Cole said. "But Ghost is already dead. Tommy is already threatened. 12 men are already in danger. I do not have the luxury of backing out now." Tours drove in silence for a mile. Then she said what they were all thinking. "Dakota is dirty. He helped kill your father. He is protecting Ethan. Everything he told us was lies." "I know." "Which means we cannot trust local law enforcement, cannot rely on sheriff's department for backup, cannot count on anyone except FBI." "I know." "Which makes tomorrow night even more dangerous than we thought." "I know." Cole leaned his head against the window, watched Billings pass by, the city where he was born, where his father built an empire, where his brother murdered him for it. 24 hours until the weapons shipment. 24 hours to prepare. 24 hours to decide if he was willing to cross lines he swore he would never cross. Because the line between justice and revenge was thinner than he wanted to admit. The line between doing right and becoming wrong was almost invisible. And Cole was walking that line with a wire on his chest and blood on his hands. Blood that had not been spilled yet, but would be. Soon. They reached the hotel at 2300 hours. Tours set up in the command post, pulled out laptops, started reviewing the evening's recordings. 8 hours of audio, confessions, admissions, evidence. Cole stripped off his shirt, removed the wire. His chest was raw where the adhesive had pulled its skin. Small price for the intelligence they had gathered. Sarah removed hers with less ceremony. Professional, efficient, like she had done this 100 times before. Maybe she had. Tors played back key moments. Ethan's voice through laptop speakers. I took over. Expanded operations. Upgraded from father's small-time gambling and protection to something bigger. Better, more profitable. We are international now. Then Victor, special cargo, hardware that our southern partners have requested. Hardware that your military guards very carefully. Then Dakota, I helped your brother solve the problem. King got weak, sentimental, started talking about legacy and redemption. Ethan understood what I understood. Confession after confession. Evidence piling up like corpses. Tors made notes, time stamps, relevant quotes, building the prosecution's case with each keystroke. We have enough for arrest warrants on Ethan and Dakota right now, she said without looking up. Conspiracy to commit murder. Confession to murder. Conspiracy to traffic weapons. We could move tonight. But we would not get Victor, Sarah said. Would not get Derek Kane. Would not get Richard Wang. Would not get the distribution network. Would not shut down the whole operation. Correct, which is why we wait until tomorrow night. Let the shipment happen. Arrest everyone involved simultaneously. Clean sweep. Cole poured water from the mini fridge, drank it without tasting. His hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped somewhere between the estate and the hotel, training taking over. Operators did not shake, did not doubt, just executed mission parameters. But he was not an operator anymore. Had not been for 3 years. And the mission parameters kept changing. What happens if the shipment is intercepted en route? Cole asked. If something goes wrong between Fort Harrison and the Canadian border. We have ATF coordinating with base security, Tors said. The weapons are being tracked. We know which crates. We know the transport schedule. We let them get stolen. We let Victor's people think they succeeded. Then we follow. Document the entire chain, from theft to distribution. That gives us RICO charges, organized crime. Everyone goes down. And what do I do? You drive, you observe, you record. You do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Your job is intelligence gathering, not tactical intervention. And if someone gets hurt, if base security tries to stop the theft and shooting starts, then you stay in your vehicle and you let professionals handle it. You are not a SEAL anymore, Cole. You are a witness. You gather evidence. Period. Cole looked at Sarah. She was watching him with those gray eyes, reading him, understanding what Tors could not. He was being asked to watch crimes happen, to be complicit through inaction, to gather evidence while people potentially died. The same moral calculus that had broken him in Kandahar. Watch teammates die or call for support that might not come. Wait for extraction or take action. Follow orders or follow conscience. He had chosen wrong in Kandahar. Martinez had died because Cole waited 47 minutes for medevac instead of attempting emergency field medicine that might have saved him. Kowalski had died because Cole was pinned down instead of advancing. Davis had died because the IED had been there and Cole had missed it. 3 years of therapy had not resolved those choices. 3 years of medication had not quieted the voices. 3 years of building, a ranch had not absolved the guilt. And now Tors was asking him to make the same choice again. Observe, record, wait. Let others handle the violence. Let professionals make the hard calls. Stay safe, stay clean, stay removed. But Ghost was dead because Cole had stayed removed. Tommy was threatened because Cole had stayed removed. 12 men were in danger because Cole had spent 3 years pretending distance equaled safety. Sarah stood, walked to where Cole stood by the window. You are thinking about Kandahar. How do you know? Because I spent 8 years as an interrogator. I learned to read body language, micro-expressions, the way people hold tension in their shoulders when they are reliving trauma. You are there right now, in that valley, watching your teammates die, wondering if different choices would have changed the outcome. Would they have? No, you did everything right. You called for support. You held position. You provided aid. The outcome was determined by factors beyond your control. Bad intelligence, enemy timing, mechanical failure on the medevac bird. You were not responsible. Tell that to Martinez's widow. I cannot, but I can tell you that my husband died because air support did not arrive in time, because the officer coordinating it got overrun before he could complete the mission. That officer was Captain James Mitchell, my husband. He died trying to save you. Cole turned to face her directly. I did not know. How could you? You were focused on your own men, your own survival. That is what soldiers do. But now you know, my husband died trying to get you help. Died trying to prevent what happened. Failed. Not because he was incompetent, not because he made wrong choices, because war is chaos. Because good people die despite best efforts. Because sometimes there are no right answers. She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the grief in her eyes, the same grief he carried, the same survivor's guilt, the same wondering if different choices would have mattered. Tomorrow night you will witness crimes. You will gather evidence. You will follow orders. And maybe someone will get hurt. Maybe someone will die, but that is not on you. That is on Ethan, on Victor, on Dakota, on the men who chose to traffic weapons. You are trying to stop them. That is all anyone can ask. What if stopping them requires becoming them? Then you stop before that happens. You signal extraction. You walk away. You choose yourself over the mission. But I do not think you will, because you are not them. You are the man who built a ranch for broken veterans, who saved Ghost when logic said euthanize, who refused to kill in that basement even when Ethan demanded it. You are the man who keeps choosing right even when right is hard. Cole wanted to believe her. Wanted to accept absolution from someone who understood the weight. But absolution was for men who deserved it. And Cole did not know if he did. Tors interrupted the moment. I need you both to review the operational plan for tomorrow. Timing, routes, contingencies. We have one shot at this. We do not get do-overs. They spent the next 2 hours going over every detail. The weapons would be stored in a specific warehouse at Fort Harrison. Security protocol dictated regular inventory, but security was also underfunded, understaffed, vulnerable to insider threats. Derek Kane had contacts inside the base. Former Marines who had transitioned to private security contracts. Men who could be bought for the right price. Men who would look the other way while 15 crates disappeared. Victor's crew would handle the physical theft. Cole would meet them at a staging area 5 miles from the base, lead vehicle in a convoy of 3 trucks, drive Route 87 north toward the Canadian border, rendezvous at a distribution point near Sweetgrass, transfer cargo to Victor's people, collect payment, return. Simple on paper. Complicated in execution. Because FBI would be following. ATF would be documenting. DEA would be coordinating with Canadian authorities. And Cole would be in the middle, wired, recording, hoping nobody shot him. By 0100 hours, Tors called it. Get some sleep, both of you. Tomorrow is going to be long, dangerous. You need to be sharp. Sleep. Right. Cole lay on the hotel bed fully clothed, stared at the ceiling, listened to Tors typing in the next room, Listened to Sarah breathing in the adjacent room. Listened to Billings' traffic 3 stories below. His phone buzzed. The burner phone Ethan had given him. Text message, unknown number. 2200 hours. Warehouse on 3rd Street. Do not be late. Cole replied, I will be there. Another buzz, different number. This one he recognized. Marcus Reeves calling from the ranch. The secure line Tours had set up. He answered. Brother. Marcus's voice, rough, tired, worried. How bad is it? Bad. Ethan knows about Tours, knows about Sarah, probably knows I am wired. But he is letting it play out, testing me, seeing if I will go through with tomorrow. And will you? I do not have a choice. Everyone has a choice. The question is whether you can live with the consequences. Can you keep the residents safe? For now, we have deputies patrolling, federal agents positioned nearby. But Cole, if this goes wrong tomorrow, if Ethan decides to retaliate, I cannot stop him. I can slow him down, but I cannot stop him. Then it cannot go wrong. That is not how operations work, and you know it. Something always goes wrong. The question is whether you can adapt when it does. I will adapt. You better, because Tommy asked about you today, asked when you were coming back, asked if you were okay. Kid looks up to you. They all do. You do not get to die playing hero and leave them with that. I am not playing hero. Then what are you doing? Trying to make sure Ghost did not die for nothing. Ghost was a horse, a good horse, a horse that mattered, but he was still a horse. You are a man. Men are worth more than horses, even broken men, especially broken men. I know. Then act like it. Do your job tomorrow. Gather your evidence. Signal extraction the second it gets hot. And come home. We need you here. I need you here. Marcus never said things like that. Never admitted need. Never showed vulnerability. Which meant things at the ranch were worse than he was letting on. What happened? Nothing yet, but there have been vehicles, black SUVs, driving past. Slow, watching, not stopping, just watching. Ethan is sending a message. He can reach us anytime. We are only safe because he allows it. How are the residents handling it? Scared, trying not to show it, but scared. Jackson is drinking again. Williams forgot to feed the horses this morning. Chen had a breakdown. Tommy is holding it together, but barely. Shit. Yeah, so you do whatever you need to do tomorrow. You get the evidence. You bring down Ethan. You end this, because we cannot sustain much longer. I will end it, I promise. Do not promise, just do it. And Cole, be careful. Ethan killed your father without hesitation. He will do the same to you if given the chance. I know. Good, then we understand each other. Marcus hung up. Cole lay in darkness, listening to his own breathing. Thinking about Tommy and Jackson and Williams and Chen. Thinking about 12 men trying to survive while he played undercover operative. Thinking about Ghost, dead in a stall because Ethan wanted to send a message. Thinking about tomorrow night. 2200 hours. Weapons shipment. $20 million. Federal crime. One shot to make it count. He did not sleep. Just lay there waiting for 0500 to arrive like it always did. Waiting for the nightmares that would come whether he slept or not. Waiting for tomorrow. The next day passed in slow preparation. Tours coordinated with tactical teams. 8 agents, 4 vehicles, positioned along Route 87 at strategic intervals, close enough to respond, far enough to avoid detection. ATF confirmed the weapons were in place at Fort Harrison. 15 crates, M4 carbines, AR-15 rifles, ammunition, night vision equipment, grenades, everything Victor had ordered, everything that would get people killed once it reached cartel hands. Sarah reviewed her cover story. If questioned, she was returning to the ranch, separate from Cole, professional distance, nothing suspicious. But she was staying in Billings. Staying close in case extraction was needed. Staying wired in case Cole's signal failed. By 2000 hours, Cole was dressed, dark clothes, work boots, looking like someone about to commit federal crimes. Tours checked the wire, double-checked, triple-checked. Backup battery, redundant transmitter, emergency beacon sewn into the collar. You are more monitored than a space shuttle. We will hear everything, see everything through the wire camera. You signal, we move. You do not signal, we still move if threat is detected. Understood. Understood. Sarah walked him to the door. Be smart, be safe, come back. I will try. Trying is not good enough. It is all I have. She kissed him then. Brief, urgent, the kiss of two people who understood they might not see each other again. Then she stepped back. For luck. I do not believe in luck. Neither do I, but we need something. Cole left the hotel at 2100 hours, walked 3 blocks to where he had parked a truck earlier. Rental, paid cash, untraceable to FBI. Drove through Billings, toward 3rd Street Warehouse District. The city looked different at night, darker, more honest. The veneer of civilization stripped away to show what lurked underneath. Crime, corruption, desperation. The same things King had built his empire on. The same things Ethan was expanding. The same things Cole had run from 12 years ago. But running had not worked. Distance had not protected anyone. Ghost was still dead. Tommy was still threatened. The only way out was through. He reached the warehouse at 21:45, 15 minutes early. Operator habit, always early, always prepared, always anticipating. The warehouse was abandoned, or appeared abandoned. Broken windows, graffiti. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody reported them. 2 trucks were already there. Black, heavy duty. The kind used for moving cargo that needed to stay hidden. 4 men, Hispanic, professional, Victor's crew. They watched Cole park, watched him get out, watched him approach. One stepped forward, 40s, scar across his cheek. The kind of eyes that had seen everything and been impressed by nothing. You are Whitmore. I am. Victor sends his regards, says you drive lead truck. We follow. You stop, we stop. You deviate from route, we end you. Understood. Understood. Good, cargo arrives at 2200. We load, we move. Canadian border by 0300. Simple. Nothing about this was simple. But Cole nodded. The wire was recording. Tours was listening. Tactical teams were positioning. At 21:58, headlights appeared. 3rd truck, larger, military transport vehicle, stolen from Fort Harrison or made to look like it. It parked, 2 men got out. Derek Kane and another Cole did not recognize. Kane smiled when he saw Cole. Little Whitmore, ready to earn your stripes. Ready to do the job. Good, because this cargo is valuable, very valuable. Our southern partners are paying premium price. They expect premium delivery. They will get it. They better, or we all suffer consequences. The rear of the transport opened. 15 crates, stenciled with military designations. Property of U.S. Army, unauthorized use prohibited. Victor's crew loaded them into the 2 trailing trucks. Efficient, practiced, men who had done this before. Cole watched, the wire recorded, camera in his collar capturing faces, license plates, serial numbers on the crates. Evidence. All of it evidence. 20 minutes later, they were loaded. Kane handed Cole a phone. GPS coordinates programmed. Follow them exactly. No stops, no deviations. Any variation, we assume compromise and terminate. Meaning kill him. Cole took the phone. Understood. Then let us earn $20 million. They mounted up, Cole in the lead truck, Victor's crew in 2 following trucks, Kane and his associate in the rear security vehicle. 4-truck convoy, heading north through Montana night. Route 87 stretched ahead, empty, dark, perfect for moving illegal cargo. Cole drove, hands steady, mind calculating. Tours would be tracking through the wire GPS. Tactical teams would be paralleling on side roads. ATF would be documenting from satellite. Everything was going according to plan. Which meant something was about to go wrong. Because something always went wrong. They were 30 miles north of Billings when Cole noticed the headlights. Single vehicle, maintaining distance, not closing, not falling back, just following. Could be FBI. Could be ATF. Could be Ethan's people checking for surveillance. Could be nothing. Cole kept driving. 40 miles, 50. The headlights stayed constant. His phone buzzed, text from Kane. You have a tail. Cole checked mirrors, confirmed. I see it. Lose IT or we abort. Losing a tail meant speeding, deviating from route, drawing attention. All things that would spook Victor's crew. All things that might end with Cole, dead on the side of Route 87. But letting the tail continue meant Kane would abort, meant the shipment would scatter, meant the operation failed. Cole made a decision. Accelerated. The convoy matched his speed. 60 miles per hour, 70, 80. The tail matched pace. Professional pursuit, law enforcement training. Definitely not random civilian. Cole's mind raced through possibilities. FBI would not pursue this, obviously. Tours knew better. ATF would coordinate, not chase. Which meant someone else. Someone watching the operation. Someone who was not supposed to be there. His burner phone rang. Ethan's voice. Hello, little brother. Enjoying your drive? What do you want? Just checking in, making sure you are committed, making sure you understand consequences. I am driving your cargo. What more do you want? I want you to lose the vehicle following you. I want you to prove you are serious. I want you to show me you are a Whitmore. How do I lose them? That is your problem to solve. You have 5 minutes. If they are still following in 5 minutes, Kane terminates the operation. And then he terminates you. And then I send people to your ranch, starting with Tommy, ending with everyone. The call disconnected. 5 minutes. Cole checked mirrors. The tail was still there, professional, persistent. He could not lose them. Could not outrun them. Could not shake them. Which left one option. Confront them. Cole slowed, pulled to the shoulder, stopped. The convoy stopped behind him. The tail stopped 100 yards back. Cole got out, started walking toward the tail vehicle. The wire was recording everything. Tors would be screaming into comms right now, demanding he get back in the truck, demanding he follow protocol. But protocol did not account for Ethan's paranoia, did not account for 5-minute deadlines, did not account for Tommy's life hanging in the balance. Cole walked toward the tail vehicle, hands visible, non-threatening posture. The vehicle's door opened. Sheriff Dakota stepped out. Cole stopped. "What are you doing here?" "Watching, learning, seeing if you are serious or if this is all performance." "Ethan sent you." Ethan trusts no one, including his own brother, especially his own brother, so he sent me to observe, to report back, to ensure you are not working with FBI. "I am not." "Then why are you wired?" Dakota's voice was calm, conversational, like discussing whether instead of life and death. Cole's blood went cold. "I am not wired." "Yes, you are. I can see the camera in your collar from here. I can see the transmitter bulge under your shirt. I have been sheriff for 30 years. I know what surveillance looks like." Dakota pulled his service weapon, aimed it at Cole's chest. "Take off your shirt." "If I do that, you will kill me." "If you do not, Kane will kill you. Either way, you are dead. The question is whether your death serves a purpose or just ends things." Cole's hands moved to his shirt buttons, started unbuttoning. His mind racing through options, all of them bad. Signal extraction now and the convoy scatters. Operation fails. Ethan retaliates against the ranch. Comply and Dakota sees the wire. Reports to Ethan. Operation fails. Ethan retaliates against the ranch. Fight and Dakota shoots him. Operation fails. Ethan retaliates against the ranch. Every path led to failure. Every choice led to death. Cole's fingers reached the last button. Tors would be mobilizing tactical teams right now. 3 minutes out, maybe 4. Too long. He pulled the shirt open. Revealed the wire. Dakota smiled. No surprise, just confirmation. "I knew it. From the moment you walked into that casino. Nobody comes home after 12 years unless they are desperate or working an angle. You were working an angle." He raised his radio to call Ethan. Cole moved. 12 years of training. 12 years of close quarters combat. 12 years of being exactly the kind of man who could disarm someone before they finished reaching for their radio. He closed the distance in 3 steps, grabbed Dakota's wrist, twisted. The weapon discharged into the ground. Cole drove his elbow into Dakota's throat, followed with a knee to the gut. The sheriff went down hard. Behind them, Kane's vehicle doors opened. Men emerging, weapons drawn. Cole grabbed Dakota's radio before the man could recover. Spoke into it. "False alarm, tail is clear. Sheriff Dakota confirms we are good to proceed." He threw the radio into the darkness. Stripped off the wire. Camera, transmitter, emergency beacon, all of it. Threw it after the radio. Now he was alone, unmonitored, cut off from FBI support. But the operation could continue. Kane approached, weapon trained on Cole. "What the hell is going on?" "Sheriff thought I was compromised, thought I was wired. I proved I was not. We are clear." He gestured at Dakota, gasping on the ground. Kane looked at the sheriff, at Cole, calculating. Then he lowered his weapon. "Get back in your truck. We are behind schedule." Cole walked back to the lead vehicle, got in, hands shaking now, adrenaline wearing off. He had just assaulted a sheriff. had destroyed FBI surveillance equipment, had gone dark. Tours would be panicking. Sarah would be terrified. But the operation continued. The convoy rolled north into Montana night, toward the Canadian border, toward the final transfer, toward $20 million in stolen weapons reaching cartel hands. And Cole drove without a wire, without support, without backup, just himself and the choices he had made. The line between justice and survival blurred until he could not tell the difference anymore. All he knew was Tommy needed him to finish this. Ghost deserved him to finish this. 12 men were counting on him to finish this. So he drove. Through darkness. Toward whatever came next. Hoping it was not death. Knowing it might be. The Montana darkness swallowed Route 87 like a living thing. Cole drove with the weight of 15 stolen crates behind him and nothing but silence ahead. No wire transmitting. No FBI listening. No backup coming. Just 4 trucks carrying $20 million in weapons toward the Canadian border and a man who had run out of choices. His hands were steady on the wheel. 12 years of training kept them that way. 12 years of operating in hostile territory. 12 years of being exactly the kind of man who could drive into darkness alone and pretend fear was not eating through his chest like acid. But pretending was all it was. Because Dakota knew. Had seen the wire. Had forced Cole to choose between mission and survival. And Cole had chosen wrong. Destroyed the wire, assaulted a sheriff, gone dark. Tours would be panicking by now. 3 miles back, tactical teams would be scrambling. Sarah would be watching empty screens where his signal used to be, wondering if he was alive, wondering if she had just sent another man to die like her husband died in Kandahar. Cole checked the rearview mirror. Victor's 2 trucks followed close. Derek Kane's security vehicle behind them. Professional convoy, military precision. Men who had done this before and would do it again. Unless Cole stopped them. But how did one man stop a convoy when that man had no backup, and no plan, and nothing but the certainty that Ghost deserved better than this? The burner phone buzzed. Text from Kane. 70 miles to border. No more stops. Cole did not reply. Just drove. The road stretched endlessly. Empty, dark. Montana at 3 in the morning was a different country. The kind of empty that made you remember how small you were, how temporary, how easily men disappeared into darkness and were never found. His father had disappeared like that. 3 bullets in the chest, and King Whitmore became history. An empire reduced to blood on mahogany flooring. A legacy written in violence and greed, and the twisted logic of men who convinced themselves crime was just business by other means. Ethan had pulled that trigger, had stood in the doorway and executed their father because King wanted redemption. Because trying to be better was weakness. Because Whitmore blood did not wash off. But Cole had spent 12 years trying anyway. 12 years building something clean. 12 years pretending he was different. And now he was driving stolen weapons for his brother's empire because the alternative was watching 12 veterans die. The line between different and identical had disappeared somewhere in the darkness behind him. His phone buzzed again, different number, one he did not recognize. He answered. Sarah's voice. Cole, thank God, we thought you were dead. How are you calling me? This is a burner. Tours cloned it when you were sleeping. Backup protocol, where are you? Route 87. 70 miles from Canadian border. No wire. Kane is behind me. Victor's crew has the weapons. I am alone. You are not alone. I am following you. What? Sarah's voice was calm, professional, the interrogator who knew how to stay focused under pressure. I left the hotel 30 minutes after you did, rented a car, been tailing the convoy since Billings, staying back, lights off, but I am here. Torres will kill you for that. Torres does not get a vote. Neither do you. I told you I was not leaving. I meant it. Despite everything, Cole felt something loosen in his chest. Not quite hope, but close. Where is Torres? Mobilizing tactical teams. They lost your GPS when you destroyed the wire, but they are tracking the convoy through satellite. They will intercept at the border. But Cole, they are 30 minutes behind. Maybe 40. You need to slow the convoy down. Give them time to catch up. How am I supposed to do that? You were a SEAL for 12 years. Improvise. The call disconnected. Cole looked at the empty road ahead, at the trucks behind him in the mirror, at the GPS coordinates Kane had programmed showing the border crossing point. Sweetgrass, tiny Montana town. Population 300. The kind of place where nobody asked questions if you crossed the right palms with the right amount of cash. The weapons would transfer there. Victor's people would take possession. 20 million would change hands, and 15 crates of military hardware would disappear into cartel distribution networks that spanned 2 continents. Unless Cole stopped it. He had maybe 40 minutes before the border. 30 minutes before FBI arrived. Which meant he needed to buy 10 minutes. 10 minutes for Torres to get tactical teams in position. 10 minutes for this to end, without him becoming exactly what his father had been. The road curved through high country, mountains rising on both sides, the kind of terrain that offered advantages if you knew how to use them. Cole started calculating. He had driven this route before, years ago, before the Navy, before escape, when he was still trying to understand what it meant to be a Whitmore. There was a section ahead, narrow pass, sharp curves, rock face on one side, cliff on the other, the kind of terrain where one stopped truck could block an entire convoy. The kind of terrain where accidents happened. Cole made his decision. He accelerated slightly, pulling ahead of the convoy, opening distance. Kane would notice, would get suspicious, but Kane would also assume Cole was just nervous. First time running cargo, adrenaline making him drive too fast. The narrow pass appeared around the next bend. Cole took a breath. 12 years since he had done anything like this. 12 years since he had been the kind of man who took calculated risks with his own life. But Ghost was dead. And Tommy needed him to be that man again. Even if only for 10 minutes. He slowed as he entered the pass, let the convoy close distance, then he cut the wheel hard right. The truck fishtailed, tires screaming, metal grinding against rock face, sparks flying into Montana darkness. He overcorrected, let the truck swing left, toward the cliff edge. Toward the 200-foot drop that would kill him if he miscalculated. At the last second, he hit the brakes. Full lock, emergency stop. The truck spun, 90 degrees, 180, blocking the entire road. The convoy slammed on brakes behind him. Victor's trucks stopped inches from collision. Kane's vehicle skidded sideways. Chaos. Exactly what Cole needed. He jumped out, hands up, shouting. Brake failure, I could not stop it. The brakes failed. Kane emerged from his vehicle, weapon drawn, face twisted with rage. You nearly killed us all. The brakes failed. I tried to stop. The truck just kept going. Kane approached, checked the truck, looked at the road, at the skid marks, at the positioning. His eyes narrowed. This looks deliberate. It was an accident. Check the brakes yourself. I will. And if I find anything wrong with you instead of the truck, I will put a bullet in your head right here. Cole stood with hands raised while Kane inspected the vehicle, his heart hammering, his plan buying maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 if he was lucky. But it was not enough. Because even if Kane believed the accident story, even if they cleared the road and continued, FBI was still 30 minutes out. Still too far. Still too late. He needed more time. Sarah's voice came through his earpiece, quiet, barely audible. The one Tors had given him before the dinner. The one he had forgotten he was still wearing because it was small enough to pass inspection. Cole, I see what you did. Good. But you need more delay. Pop the hood. Fake mechanical trouble. I am calling Tors. Telling her you are stalled at mile marker 214. Cole walked to the front of the truck, popped the hood, pretended to examine the engine. Kane was on his phone, probably calling Ethan, probably reporting the delay. This was bad. Victor approached, calm, professional, the cartel enforcer who had seen everything. Problem, Whitmore. Brakes failed. Now the engine will not turn over. I think I damaged something when I hit the rocks. Victor studied him, those eyes that missed nothing. Or you are sabotaging the delivery. I am trying to get it working. Give me 10 minutes. We do not have 10 minutes. Transfer is scheduled for 0300. We are already behind. Then help me or shoot me. Either way, standing here arguing does not solve anything. Victor considered. Then he gestured to one of his men. Ramon, check the engine, see if this is real or performance. Ramon was built like a fire hydrant, tattoos covering both arms, the kind of man who knew engines and violence in equal measure. He pushed Cole aside, started examining the truck, checking connections, testing systems. Cole stood in Montana darkness, watching his plan fall apart. Because Ramon would find nothing wrong. Would report back to Victor that this was sabotage. And then Kane would execute him on the side of Route 87. And the weapons would reach the border. And Ethan would win. His phone buzzed, text from Sarah. TORES ETA 25 minutes. Keep stalling. 25 minutes. An eternity when men with guns were deciding whether to kill you. Ramon stepped back from the engine, wiped his hands, turned to Victor. Everything is fine. No damage. He is lying. Victor's hand moved toward his weapon. Cole's training took over. Muscle memory from 12 years of close quarters combat. 12 years of being the kind of man who reacted faster than thought. He grabbed Ramon, used him as a shield, reached for the weapon on Ramon's hip. Got it. Raised it toward Victor. Everyone froze. 4 men with weapons trained on Cole. Cole with a weapon trained on Victor. Ramon struggling in his grip. Kane somewhere behind the trucks with his own weapon. Mexican standoff. Literal. Do not move, Cole said, voice steady despite everything. All of you, weapons down, or I put a bullet in Victor. You will die 2 seconds later, Victor said, his voice still calm, still professional. Do you want to die on this road? No, but I will if it stops this shipment from reaching the border. Why? Victor's eyes narrowed. You are Whitmore. This is your family business. Why sabotage your own brother? Because my brother murdered our father. Because these weapons will kill Americans. Because I spent 12 years trying to be different, and I am not throwing that away now. So you are FBI? No, I am just a man who built a ranch for broken veterans. And my brother threatened to kill them if I did not do this. So I did it, but I am done now. Victor studied him for a long moment. Then he lowered his weapon. Put it down. His men hesitated. I said put it down. They lowered their weapons slowly, confused, looking to Victor for guidance. Victor stepped forward, hands visible, non-threatening. Let Ramon go. We need to talk. You are going to kill me. Perhaps, or perhaps I respect you more than I respect your brother. Let him go. We talk. Soldier to soldier. Cole's grip on Ramon loosened slightly, but he kept the weapon raised. Talk. Your brother is weak. He pretends to be strong, pretends to be king, but he is not. King was a man of honor in his own way. Brutal, but honest. Your brother is neither. He lies. He manipulates. He uses fear because he has no respect. And you. I am a professional. I do terrible things for money, but I do not pretend they are anything else. I do not claim to be noble while trafficking in death. You understand this. You were a soldier. You killed for your country. You know the difference between necessary violence and cruelty. Cole lowered the weapon slightly. What are you saying? I am saying I will let you go. I will report that you sabotaged the delivery, that we were forced to terminate you, that the weapons are delayed but will arrive eventually through different channels. Your brother will be angry, but he will accept it, and you will walk away. Go back to your ranch, your veterans, your horses, build your clean thing. I will not stop you. Why would you do that? Because Soldado respects Soldado, because you proved you are not your brother, and because I have a son your age, former Marine. He came home from Fallujah broken, PTSD, nightmares, he needed help. Found a program like yours, horses, therapy, it saved his life. So I let you live. Consider it payment for what men like you do for men like my son. Cole searched Victor's face for deception, for the trap. Found only truth. Sometimes in this business, Victor continued, you meet someone worth more alive than dead. You are worth more alive. Go. And the weapons will arrive through other channels. You cannot stop that, but you can choose to live, to go home, to keep helping broken soldiers. That matters more than delaying one shipment. It was not justice, was not victory, but it was survival. And survival meant he could protect the ranch, protect Tommy and Marcus and the others, live to fight another day. Cole lowered the weapon completely, released Ramon, stepped back. Victor nodded, approval. Go, before Kane realizes what is happening, before my men change their minds. You have maybe 2 minutes. What about you? I am a businessman. I adapt, I improvise, I survive just like you. Cole turned, started walking back along Route 87, away from the convoy, into darkness. Behind him, he heard Victor shouting orders, repositioning trucks, clearing the road, continuing the delivery. The weapons would reach the border. The deal would happen. Ethan would get his 20 million. But Cole would live. He walked for 10 minutes before headlights appeared ahead. A car, driving fast, lights off. It stopped beside him. Sarah behind the wheel. Get in. Cole climbed into the passenger seat. She accelerated immediately, heading back south, away from the border, away from the convoy, away from the culmination of everything they had planned. Tours is going to kill us both, Sarah said. I know. Victor let you go. He did. Why? Cole told her. About the conversation. About Victor's son. About soldier respecting soldier. About the choice between dying for principle or living for purpose. Sarah drove in silence for a mile. Then she said what they were both thinking. The weapons are going to reach the border. Tours will intercept, but Victor will have anticipated that. We'll have contingency plans. Some of the weapons will get through. People will die because of what we failed to stop tonight. I know. Can you live with that? Cole thought about Ghost, about Tommy, about 12 men who needed second chances ranch to survive. About the difference between perfect justice and imperfect survival. I have to. They drove through Montana darkness toward Billings, toward Tours and the reckoning that waited, toward whatever came next. Cole's phone buzzed. The burner, text from an unknown number. Disappointed little brother, but not surprised. Come home, we need to talk, E. Ethan knew. Of course Ethan knew. Probably had known from the beginning. The whole thing had been a test. And Cole had failed it. Or passed it. Depending on perspective. Sarah glanced at the phone, at the message. He is going to retaliate. Yes. Against the ranch. Yes. Then we need to get there first. Warn Marcus. Evacuate the residents. Get them somewhere safe before Ethan moves. Tours needs us in Billings. To debrief. To explain why we went dark. Tours can wait. Your people cannot. Sarah changed course. Headed west. Toward Second Chance's ranch. Toward the only thing that mattered more than justice or duty or the mission that had just fallen apart. They drove for 2 hours, through darkness that slowly softened toward dawn, through country that changed from high desert to mountain forest, through terrain Cole knew by heart because this was home. The ranch appeared as the sun broke over the Rockies, 80 acres of Montana, stables and paddocks and the main house where 12 men slept, where Marcus kept watch, where Ghost's empty stall waited. Where everything worth protecting existed. Sarah parked near the main house. Cole got out. The ranch was quiet, too quiet. No morning sounds, no residents moving, no Marcus doing his dawn perimeter check. Cole's hand moved toward the weapon he no longer carried. Muscle memory from 12 years of entering hostile territory. Sarah had her Sig Sauer drawn, professional, efficient. They approached the main house carefully, checking sight lines, cataloging cover, old habits from different wars. The front door stood open. Not kicked in, not forced, just open. Like someone had been invited inside. Or dragged inside. Cole went through first, Sarah covering. They moved through the house like operators, clearing rooms, checking corners, finding nothing. Until they reached the kitchen. Marcus Reeves sat at the table, hands zip-tied behind his back, blood running from a cut above his eye, but alive. Conscious. Angry. On the table in front of him, a note written in Ethan's precise handwriting. Family dinner. Tonight, 1900 hours, do not be late. Bring Sarah, or I start killing your veterans 1 AT a time. Cole cut Marcus free. The old Master Chief rubbed his wrists, touched the cut on his forehead, winced. They came at 0500. 4 men, professional, they knew exactly where everyone was, took the residents without a fight. Tommy tried to resist. They hit him. Hard. Kid is probably concussed. Where did they take them? The estate. Where else? Ethan wants you to watch, wants you to choose. Them or him, family or blood. It was never a choice. No, it was not. Sarah was on her phone, calling Tors, explaining, demanding tactical support, demanding immediate action. Cole could hear Tors shouting through the speaker, demanding explanations, demanding accountability, demanding why they had abandoned the mission. Sarah hung up. Tors is sending teams to the estate, but they need 2 hours to organize. Warrants, approvals, jurisdiction issues because this crosses into kidnapping and interstate complications. 2 hours. The dinner is in 8 hours. Ethan could kill them all before Tors arrives. That is the idea. Cole looked at Marcus, at the blood on his face, at the fire in his eyes that said he was ready to go to war despite being 55 and one-legged and exhausted. Then we do not wait for Tors. We go now. We get them out. We end this. Against how many men? Does not matter. Brother, this is suicide. Ethan has security, cameras, weapons. He is expecting you. This is a trap designed to kill you and everyone stupid enough to follow you in. Then I go alone. Marcus stood, limped to the cabinet where he kept his service weapon from his SEAL days. A Glock 19, well-maintained, ready. You do not go alone. You never went alone. That is not how this works. Sarah checked her own weapon, reloaded, professional. I am coming too. This is not your fight. It became my fight when those 12 men got taken. When Ethan threatened veterans under my professional supervision. I am VA. That makes them mine, so I am coming. Cole looked at these 2 people. This one-legged Master Chief who had saved his life more times than could be counted. This army widow who understood loss and refused to run from it. He was not alone. Had never been alone. Even when it felt like it. We need a plan. I have a plan, Marcus said. We go in hard. We extract fast. We do not negotiate. We do not hesitate. We treat this like Kandahar but without the mistakes. The estate has 20 men minimum. We are 3. 3 who know what we are doing against 20 who are pretending. Odds are better than they look. Sarah pulled out her laptop, opened files Tors had compiled, schematics of the estate, security camera positions, guard rotations, entries and exits. We have intelligence, we have surprise. They are expecting you to walk in through the front door at 1900 hours. We do not give them that. We go at 1500 hours, while they are positioning, while they are preparing. We hit during the chaos of setup. Cole studied the schematics, the estate he had grown up in, every room memorized, every hallway known. The residents will be held in the basement, same place they had me go for the test, holding cells, reinforced, 2 guards minimum, more if Ethan is being careful. So we split up, Marcus said. You and I go for the residents. Sarah provides overwatch, covers our exit. We get in. We get them out. We do not engage unless we have to. And Ethan? Ethan is my problem. Mine alone. You 2 focus on extraction. I will handle my brother. Cole, you cannot. Marcus's voice was firm. If you kill him, you become him. You prove he was right about Whitmore blood. You lose everything you built. I will not kill him, but I will end this, one way or another. They spent the next 4 hours preparing. Weapons, ammunition, body armor Marcus had kept from his SEAL days, routes, timing, contingencies, the kind of planning that operators did before inserting into hostile territory. Sarah called Tors, updated her, told her they were going in. Tors threatened to arrest them. Sarah hung up. At 1400 hours, they loaded into Marcus's truck, drove toward Billings, toward the estate, toward the ending that had been inevitable from the moment Ghost died. The countryside passed in autumn colors, gold and copper and rust. Montana in October, beautiful and harsh and indifferent to human struggles. Marcus drove with the competence of a man who had done this before, who had inserted into hostile territory, who had extracted targets under fire, who had survived when others did not. Sarah sat in back, checking her weapon, running through scenarios, the interrogator who knew how to stay calm. Cole rode shotgun, watching the road, thinking about the choices that had led here, the decisions made and not made, the lines crossed and not crossed, the difference between justice and revenge and survival. They reached the estate at 14:45, 15 minutes early. Operator habit. The gates were closed, guards visible, cameras watching. They parked a mile away, moved through the forest on foot, using terrain for cover, moving like the trained professionals they were or had been. The perimeter fence was 12 feet of iron and stone, designed to keep people out. But Cole had climbed it 100 times as a kid, knew exactly where the cameras did not reach, knew exactly where the metal was weakest. They went over at the north corner, quick, efficient, no alarms. Inside the estate grounds, 40 acres of manicured lawns and gardens, and the structures where Ethan kept his empire. The main house rose ahead, 3 stories of old money and new crime, cameras covering every approach, guards patrolling in pairs, professional security that would be hard to bypass. But not impossible. Because they had been trained by the best military in the world to do exactly this. Sarah took position in the tree line, 200 yards from the house. Her rifle had a scope. Her training had prepared her for exactly this kind of overwatch. "I have eyes on 6 guards," she said through the radio. 2 on the front entrance, 2 patrolling the east side, 2 near the garage. I can take them if needed, but that will alert everyone else. "We avoid engagement," Cole said. "We go in quiet, get the residents, get out." He and Marcus moved through the gardens, using cover, timing guard rotations, reaching the basement access door that Cole had used 1,000 times growing up. It was locked, but Marcus had brought tools. 30 seconds later, they were inside. The basement was exactly as Cole remembered. Concrete, fluorescent lights, the holding cells Ethan used for interrogations. And there in 3 cells, 12 men. Tommy, Jackson, Williams, Chen, all of them bloodied, scared, but alive. Tommy saw Cole first. His eyes went wide. "You came." "Of course I came." Marcus was already working on the cell locks, electronic systems designed to be secure. But Marcus had been a master chief in the teams, had breached better security than this. The first lock clicked open. Then the second. Then the third. The residents poured out, quiet, disciplined, understanding this was tactical extraction, not celebration. Cole did quick head count. 12, all accounted for. "Stay close, stay quiet, we are leaving." They moved back toward the basement exit. 12 damaged men, 1 one-legged master chief, 1 former SEAL, moving through hostile territory with nothing but training and desperation. They made it to the gardens before the alarm sounded. Someone had discovered the empty cells. Lights flooded the grounds. Guards appeared from everywhere, weapons drawn, shouting. Sarah's voice came through the radio. "You are blown. 20 men converging on your position. Get to the tree line. I will cover." Her rifle cracked, once, twice, 3 times. Guards went down, not dead, leg shots, shoulder shots, wounding fire designed to suppress, not kill. But more kept coming. Cole and Marcus formed a perimeter around the residents, weapons ready, training taking over. This was Kandahar again. Except this time, they were the insurgents. This time, they were the ones extracting under fire. This time, the outcome was not determined yet. Marcus took a round in his prosthetic leg. It shattered, sent him down. But he kept firing, covering the retreat, giving the residents time to reach the tree line. Cole dragged him, one-handed, firing with the other, his training screaming that this was suicide, that they were outnumbered, that extraction was impossible. But Ghost was dead. And Tommy was alive. And that made it worth dying for. They reached the trees, Sarah covering, picking targets, suppressing guards long enough for everyone to get into cover. Then she was up, moving, joining them in the retreat through forests toward where they had left the truck. Behind them, guards pursued, but half-heartedly, confused, waiting for orders from Ethan about how to proceed. Those orders did not come. Because Ethan appeared at the edge of the gardens, alone, unarmed, watching them retreat. Watching Cole. "Little brother," he called out, voice carrying across the distance. "You always did choose them over me, always did choose strangers over blood." Cole stopped, turned. The residents kept moving, Marcus and Sarah covering their retreat. But Cole stood at the tree line, looking back at his brother across 40 yards of Montana estate. They are not strangers. They are men who served, who sacrificed, who deserve better than being used as leverage. And I am your brother. Does that not count for something? You killed our father. You threatened innocent men. You trafficked weapons that will kill Americans. Blood does not excuse that. "Blood is all we have," Ethan said. "Everything else is temporary. Money, power, empire, it all fades, but blood remains. You and I are the last Whitmores. When we are gone, there is nothing. Then let there be nothing, better nothing than this." Ethan's expression shifted, pain replacing rage, actual hurt showing through the carefully constructed facade. "I wanted you with me. I wanted us to build something together, Father's empire, our legacy. We could have been great. We could have been good. That is better than great." Ethan laughed, bitter, broken. "You sound like him, like King in his last days, talking about redemption and going straight. Look where that got him. 3 bullets, dead on his own floor, killed by the son he trusted." "You proved my point." Ethan's hand moved toward something in his jacket. Cole's weapon came up. They stood there, brothers, 40 yards apart, weapons trained on each other. 12 years since they had been in the same room. 12 years since Cole had looked at this face that was his face and seen a stranger. 3 years since Ethan had stood in a doorway and murdered their father. 1 second until one of them died. Sarah's voice came through the radio. "Cole, we have all 12 residents. We are clear. You do not need to do this." "Yes, I do." "If you kill him, you become him." "I know." "Then do not. Walk away. Choose different, like you have been choosing for 12 years. Cole's finger was on the trigger. Ethan's hand was moving. The choice was simple. Kill or be killed. Become a Whitmore or die trying to be different. Blood or redemption. Cole lowered his weapon. "I am done, Ethan. I am done running, done hiding, done pretending I can outrun what I am. But I am also done becoming what you are. You want the empire, keep it. You want the money, take it. You want to be king, rule alone, because I choose them. The veterans, the horses, the broken things trying to heal. I choose that over blood." Ethan's hand stopped moving. He pulled out not a weapon but a phone. "Then you choose poorly." He made a call. I want every asset we have sent to Second Chance's ranch. Burn it, the stables, the main house, everything, leave nothing standing. Cole's blood went cold. The ranch. Ethan smiled. No warmth, no mercy. You chose them over me, so I take them from you. You want to save broken soldiers? Do it somewhere else. Your sanctuary is ash. Cole ran. Through the trees, toward the truck, toward Marcus and Sarah and the 12 men who needed him to save what he had built. But they were an hour from the ranch. And Ethan's men were already moving. And some things burned too fast to save. They loaded into the truck, 12 residents crammed in the bed, Marcus in passenger seat with his shattered prosthetic, Sarah driving because Cole's hands were shaking too hard. She floored it. Through Billings, through traffic, through red lights and stop signs that meant nothing when everything you had built was burning. Cole called the ranch landline. No answer. Called the bunkhouse. No answer. Called every number he had, and got nothing but silence. Sarah's phone rang. Tours. Where the hell are you? I have tactical teams at the estate. Ethan is gone. His guards are scattered. But I have no suspects in custody and no explanations. Second Chance's ranch. Ethan ordered it burned. We are en route. Tours swore. Creative, profane. I am redirecting teams, but you are 20 minutes closer. If there are hostiles on site, do not engage. Wait for backup. The ranch is burning. I'm not waiting. Cole, that is an order. I do not work for you. He hung up. Sarah drove like she was back in combat, like the streets were hostile territory and speed was survival. The truck screaming through Montana countryside toward the only thing that mattered. 40 minutes. 30. 20. The smell hit them first. Smoke. Thick, heavy, the smell of structures burning, of wood and hay and everything you built turning to ash. They crested the hill, overlooking the ranch. The stables were engulfed, flames reaching toward the sky, orange and red and the color of everything ending. The main house was smoking, not fully burning yet, but close. The bunkhouse was untouched. And in the yard, 4 men with gasoline cans were approaching it. Sarah stopped the truck. Cole was out before it finished moving. Marcus right behind him despite the shattered prosthetic, hobbling on his good leg, weapon raised. The 4 men turned, saw them, reached for weapons. Cole did not hesitate. 12 years of training. 12 years of being exactly the kind of man who could shoot before being shot. He put 2 rounds into the ground at their feet. Warning shots. The men froze. Drop the cans, drop the weapons, get on the ground. 3 complied immediately, hands up, weapons down, faces showing they had not signed up for combat. The 4th ran. Toward a black SUV parked near the paddocks. Marcus tracked him, lined up the shot. Cole put a hand on his arm. Let him go. He can tell Ethan what happened here, can tell him we are not running anymore. Marcus lowered the weapon. The 3 men on the ground stayed prone. Smart. Survival instinct overriding whatever Ethan had paid them. Sarah was on the phone with fire department, with tours, with anyone who could help. But the stables were gone. Already collapsed into themselves. 12 stalls where 12 horses had lived, where Ghost had learned to trust again, where Cole had found meaning in morning routines. Ash. All of it ash. Tommy appeared from the tree line where the residents had taken cover, hobbling on his prosthetics, face streaked with tears. The horses. Did anyone get the horses out? Cole looked at the flames, at the heat that made approaching impossible, at the smoke rising into Montana's sky. No. The word landed like a bullet. Tommy sank to his knees. Not again, not more death, not more loss. But Jackson was pointing toward the north pasture. Wait, look. Through the smoke, through the heat shimmer, movement. 11 shapes, walking, limping, emerging from the forest beyond the paddocks. Thunder, Copper, Sergeant, all of them alive. Marcus had gotten them out. Before he came to the estate, before the extraction, he had opened the stalls, driven them into the far pasture, away from the buildings, saved them. Not Ghost. Ghost was already dead. But the others, the ones who remained, safe. Tommy was crying. Full breakdown. 12 years of trauma and grief and survivor's guilt pouring out in great racking sobs. Sarah went to him, sat beside him in the dirt, did not try to fix it, did not try to stop it, just sat there while he broke. The main house fire was spreading. Cole grabbed extinguishers from Marcus's truck, started fighting it, alone at first. Then the residents joined, passing extinguishers, forming bucket brigade from the well, working together the way they had learned to work on the ranch. Fighting for what remained. Saving what could be saved. Sirens appeared in the distance. Fire trucks, sheriff's department, FBI vehicles with tours in the lead. She emerged from her car looking furious. You extracted 12 hostages without backup. You engaged hostiles without authorization. You destroyed any chance of prosecuting Ethan for kidnapping because you contaminated the crime scene. The main house is saved, Cole said, most of it. The stables are gone, but the horses are alive. The residents are alive, that is all that matters. That is not how federal cases work. That is not how justice works. Then justice can wait, because right now, 11 horses need vet care. 12 men need medical attention. Marcus needs a new prosthetic, and I need to figure out where we go from here. Tors opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, looked at the smoking ruins, at the residents covered in soot and blood and exhaustion, at Tommy still crying in Sarah's arms, at Marcus sitting against his truck with his shattered leg extended, at Cole standing in the ashes of everything he had built. She made a decision. I am going to arrest Ethan Whitmore tonight for conspiracy to commit arson, for kidnapping, for trafficking, for murder, for every crime I can make stick. I am going to bury him so deep he never sees daylight again, and you are going to testify. You are going to give me everything you know, every detail, every confession you heard, everything. I destroyed the wire. I have the recordings from before you destroyed it. I have enough for warrants, but I need you to fill gaps, to corroborate, to stand up in court and look at your brother and tell the truth about what he is. Cole looked at the stables, at the ash where Ghost had died, at the main house that was damaged but standing, at the 11 horses being tended by residents who understood loss, at Sarah and Marcus and Tommy, and all the broken things that had chosen to heal despite everything. I will testify. Good, because this ends tonight, one way or another. Tors made calls, federal warrants, multi-agency coordination, the machinery of justice grinding into motion. By nightfall, tactical teams surrounded the Whitmore estate. By 2100 hours, they breached. Ethan was in his office, sitting behind King's desk, glass of scotch in hand, like he had been waiting. He did not resist, did not fight, just smiled when Tors read him his rights. Tell my brother I will see him in court. Tell him blood always wins, one way or another. They took him away in handcuffs. Took Dakota too, found at his home, drunk, crying, confessing to anyone who would listen about helping kill King Whitmore. Took Derek Kane, took Richard Wang, took Victor's entire Montana crew. Victor himself had disappeared, crossed into Canada hours before FBI arrived at the border, gone with the weapons, gone with whatever remained of the $20 million deal. Some criminals escaped, but the organization was broken. The empire King had built and Ethan had expanded was scattered to the winds. The Whitmore name was ash. Just like the stables. Just like everything that had mattered. Cole stood in the ranch yard at midnight, watching smoke still rising from the ruins, watching federal agents process the scene, watching the residents try to process trauma on top of trauma. Sarah found him there. Torres says you saved them, all 12, against 20 armed men. She called it the most reckless thing she has ever seen, and she has seen a lot of reckless things. It was the only thing. The right thing. I do not know about right, but it was the thing that needed doing. They were quiet for a moment, watching the ash settle. My husband would have liked you, Sarah said. He believed in doing what needed doing regardless of cost. It got him killed, but he died believing it mattered. Did it? I used to think no, used to think he died for nothing in a war that accomplished nothing. But then I see places like this, men like Tommy learning to live again, and I think maybe it did matter. Maybe all of it mattered. The stables are gone. The stables can be rebuilt. With what money? I have nothing. Everything I had went into this place. Insurance will not cover arson. Federal funding is probably revoked after tonight's mess. I have 11 horses and 12 men and nowhere to put them. Sarah was quiet. Then she said something Cole did not expect. I own a house, Kalispell, 20 acres, barn, pasture. It has been sitting empty since James died. I could not bring myself to sell it. You could use it, temporarily, until you rebuild here. Why would you do that? Because those 12 men are my responsibility. Because I recommended this program. Because I am not walking away from them now. And because you remind me why James went to war. Why he believed some things were worth fighting for. I am not a hero. Neither was he. He was just a man who kept showing up, kept doing the work, kept choosing right even when right was hard. That is all heroes are, people who keep showing up. Cole wanted to argue, wanted to explain that heroes did not let their brothers burn their ranches, did not fail to stop weapons deals, did not assault sheriffs and go dark and make every wrong choice. But Sarah was watching him with those gray eyes that saw everything. And maybe she was right. Maybe heroes were just people who kept showing up despite everything. The next 3 weeks were chaos. FBI interviews, depositions, grand jury testimony. Cole spending hours recounting every conversation with Ethan, every detail of the dinner, every confession recorded. Ethan's trial was scheduled for 6 months out. Dakota pled guilty immediately, took a deal, 25 years in federal prison in exchange for testimony against Ethan. Victor remained at large, Interpol searching, DEA coordinating with Mexican authorities, but professional criminals knew how to disappear. Some of the weapons were recovered at the Canadian border, 15 crates, still sealed, still stamped U.S. Army property. But 15 more crates had disappeared. Somewhere in cartel distribution networks, waiting to be used against Americans, against Border Patrol, against DEA agents, against people who did not deserve to die for Ethan's greed. Cole had to live with that. Had to wake up every morning knowing his failure had put weapons in the hands of killers. But he also woke up to Tommy learning to ride thunder, to Jackson sober for 30 days, to Williams remembering to feed the horses without prompts, to Chen building a garden behind Sarah's barn, to 11 horses grazing in pasture that was not theirs, but was safe, to Marcus rebuilding, getting a new prosthetic, training residents in Sarah's barn the same way he had trained them at the ranch. To Progress. Small, fragile, real. Sarah's house became temporary home. 20 acres was not 80, but it was enough. The barn was smaller, but it held 11 horses. The residents slept in what had been James's workshop, converted to bunkhouse, crowded but functional. And every night, Sarah cooked dinner for 14 people. Former Army interrogator, turned VA liaison, turned accidental ranch manager. She and Cole did not talk about what they were becoming, did not label it, just existed in the space between professional and personal, between trauma bonding and actual connection, between two people who understood loss trying to build something from ashes. 6 weeks after the fire, Cole returned to second chances. The insurance company had finally settled, not enough to rebuild everything, but enough to start. He stood in the ash where the stables had been, where Ghost had lived, where 12 horses had learned to trust. Tommy found him there. The kid was walking better now. Physical therapy, new prosthetics that fit properly. VA finally coming through with funding Sarah had fought for. You are going to rebuild. I do not know. Maybe some things are not meant to be rebuilt. Maybe they are just meant to be remembered. That is bullshit. Tommy's bluntness surprised Cole. The kid continued. Ghost is dead, the stables burned. Ethan took everything he could take, but we are still here, all 12 of us. Still breathing, still trying, still showing up every morning even when mornings are hard. You taught us that. You do not get to give up now. I am not giving up. Then prove it. Rebuild, not because it is easy, not because it makes sense, but because burned things can grow back, because ashes make good soil, because we need you to show us it is possible. Cole looked at this kid, 23 years old, double amputee, should be broken beyond repair, should be another statistic, another veteran who did not make it. But here he was, standing in ash, demanding that life continue. You are right. I know. Tommy grinned, first real smile Cole had seen in months. So when do we start? Now. They started with one wall, framing for what would become the new stable. Marcus supervised. Residents provided labor. Sarah managed logistics and funding. Tours pulled strings to get federal grants expedited. By winter, they had 4 stalls rebuilt. By spring, 8. By summer, all 12. Different than before. Smaller, more efficient. Built with fire suppression systems and emergency exits and all the things Cole should have installed originally. Built with the knowledge that some things burned. But some things grew back. The trial happened in August. Federal courthouse in Helena. 14 counts against Ethan Whitmore. Conspiracy to commit murder, weapons trafficking, money laundering, arson, kidnapping, RICO violations. The accumulated crimes of 3 years building an empire on King's corpse. Cole testified for 6 hours. Sat in the witness box and looked at his brother and told the truth about every crime, every confession, every threat. Ethan never looked away. Just stared at Cole with eyes that were his eyes, face that was his face, blood that was his blood. When Cole finished, the prosecutor asked one final question. Do you regret reporting your brother's crimes? Cole thought about Ghost, about Tommy, about 12 men who needed second chances to survive, about Sarah and Marcus and everyone who had kept showing up despite everything. About the difference between blood and family. Between what you were born into and what you chose to build. No, I do not regret it. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my brother chose this path, but I do not regret choosing different. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Ethan Whitmore was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole. He would die behind bars. As they led him away, he looked at Cole one last time. Blood always wins, little brother, one way or another. Cole did not respond. Just watched his brother disappear through the courthouse doors. Watched the last Whitmore besides himself become a number in the federal prison system. Watched an empire end not with violence, but with a gavel and a jury and the slow grinding machinery of justice. Outside the courthouse, Torres was waiting. You did good work. Testimony was solid. Evidence held up. We got him. What about Victor? Still at large, but we shut down his Montana operations, seized his assets, made his life difficult. He will slip up eventually. They always do. And the weapons that got through. 3 recovered in cartel raids. 12 still out there. We will keep looking, keep tracking, keep trying. But some things we cannot fix. We just have to live with them and do better next time. Cole nodded. Understood that better than most. Sarah was waiting by the truck. She had attended the trial, sat in the gallery every day. Moral support, professional interest, something else neither of them had named yet. How do you feel? Tired. That is not what I meant. I know what you meant. I feel like I did what needed doing. Like I chose right even though right was hard. Like maybe Ghost did not die for nothing. He did not. How do you know? Because 12 men are learning to ride horses in Kalispell. Because Marcus is training new residents. Because Tommy is applying to community college. Because Jackson has been sober for 6 months. Because you keep showing up every morning despite everything. That is how I know. They drove back to Kalispell, to the 20 acres that had become home, to the barn where 11 horses waited, to the residents who had become family. Marcus met them in the yard. We got a new arrival while you were gone. Vietnam vet, 60 years old, 3 tour, PTSD bad enough he was living under a bridge in Great Falls. VA found him, sent him here. He is in the barn with Thunder. Kid has not said a word since he arrived. What is his name? Frank Morrison, Sergeant, Marines. Good man according to his records, just broken. Aaron broken. Marcus smiled. Exactly. Cole walked to the barn, found Frank sitting in Thunder's stall, the old gelding standing patient, letting this stranger exist in his space without judgment. Cole sat down outside the stall, did not speak, just sat there, giving the man space to be broken without having to explain it. After 10 minutes, Frank spoke. I heard about this place, about what you do, about second chances for people like me. People like us, Cole corrected. I am as broken as you are. We all are. We just keep showing up anyway. Why? Because mornings still come. Because horses still need feeding. Because somewhere out there, someone else is living under a bridge wondering if life is worth continuing. And maybe if we keep going, maybe if we keep building this thing, maybe that person finds their way here too. Frank was quiet for a long time. Then he reached out, let Thunder smell his hand. The horse lowered his head. Gentle, patient, accepting. I am good with horses. Then you will fit right in. That night, they gathered around Sarah's table. 13 residents now, plus Marcus and Sarah and Cole. 16 people who had no reason to be family but were family anyway. They passed food, told stories, laughed at Marcus's terrible jokes, listened to Williams explain something he had read and then forgotten and then remembered again. Watched Tommy teach Frank how to use adaptive utensils for his shaking hands. Watched Jackson pour water instead of whiskey. Watched Chen show pictures of the garden he was building. Watched Sarah coordinate the chaos with the efficiency of a combat veteran who had learned to turn disorder into purpose. Watched Marcus survey his kingdom of broken things with the satisfaction of a master chief who had kept his people alive for one more day. And Cole sat at the end of the table, watching these people who should not have survived, who should have been statistics, who should have been broken beyond repair. But here they were. Eating, laughing, healing. Second chances personified. Later, after the residents had gone to the bunkhouse and Marcus had gone to his cottage, Cole and Sarah sat on her porch watching Montana stars. Tours called earlier, Sarah said. While you were with Frank, she has a proposition. What kind of proposition? Federal funding to expand the program, train other veterans to run similar ranches, create a network across Montana, maybe across the country. Second chances as a model for equine therapy nationwide. That is ambitious. That is necessary. There are 12,000 veterans living on streets right now. How many could we help if we had 20 ranches? 50. We can barely manage one. So we learn to manage more. We train people. We share what works. We build something bigger than just us. Cole thought about Frank, about the bridge he had been living under, about all the other Franks out there who needed help. About Ghost, who had taught him that broken things could learn to trust again. About Ethan, who had proved that blood did not determine destiny. About the difference between what you were born into and what you chose to build. Okay. Okay, we consider it, or okay, we do it. Okay, we do it. We build something bigger. We help more people. We turn this one ranch into a movement, because you are right. 12,000 veterans need help, and if we do not try, who will? Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile he had seen from her, not professional, not practiced, just real. James would have liked you, a lot. I wish I could have met him. You did, in Kandahar. You just did not know it. He was the voice on the radio, the one coordinating air support, the one who died trying to save you. Cole had not known, had not connected the dots. But now he understood why Sarah had stayed, why she had fought for this program, why she had refused to walk away. She was finishing what her husband started, saving the people he had tried to save. I am sorry I could not save him. You did not need to. He saved himself by choosing to go, by choosing to serve, by choosing to die doing something that mattered. That is all any of us can do. Choose to die doing something that matters, or choose to live doing it. Either way, the doing is what counts. They sat in silence, watching stars, thinking about the dead and the living and the thin line between them. Thinking about second chances, and whether they were earned or given, or just grabbed when you were not looking. Thinking about tomorrow, and the day after, and all the days stretching ahead where horses would need feeding and residents, would need help and broken things would keep choosing to heal. It was not perfect, was not Hollywood ending, was not justice in its purest form. Ethan was in prison, but Victor was free. The stables were rebuilt, but Ghost was still dead. The residents were healing, but new ones kept arriving broken. Some battles were won, and some were lost, and some were just postponed until tomorrow. But Cole woke up the next morning at 0500 like he always did. Took his meds like he always did. Walked to the barn like he always did. And found Thunder waiting, patient, steady, the oldest horse teaching the newest resident that broken things could learn to trust again. Frank was already there, brushing Thunder with shaking hands, talking quietly to the horse in a voice too low to hear. Cole did not interrupt. Just started feeding the others. Copper, Sergeant, all 11 horses who had survived when Ghost had not. Marcus appeared, new prosthetic working better, less limp, more steady. Tommy arrived, walking stronger, talking about classes starting next week. Sarah came with coffee, strong enough to strip paint. They worked together in comfortable silence. The routine of mourning, the rhythm of healing, the daily choice to keep going despite everything. By 0600, the sun was rising over Montana mountains. Gold and copper, and the color of new beginnings. Cole stood in the barn doorway watching light paint the world. Thinking about King, who had built an empire on fear. Thinking about Ethan, who had expanded it with blood. Thinking about Ghost, who had taught him that trust was a choice. Thinking about all the broken things that had chosen to heal. He had started this journey thinking he could outrun his blood. Had spent 12 years building distance between himself and the Whitmore name. Had convinced himself that geography equaled freedom. But he had been wrong. Blood did not wash off. Whitmore name did not disappear. The past did not stay buried. But it also did not determine the future. Because Cole had chosen different. Had chosen 12 men over one brother. Had chosen justice over blood. Had chosen to keep showing up every morning, even when mornings were hard. Had chosen to build something clean from something dirty. And that choice mattered. Maybe more than anything else. The choosing. The daily recommitment to being better than what you were born into. The stubborn refusal to let blood determine destiny. That was redemption. Not a destination. Not an achievement. Just a choice. Made every morning. At 0500. When broken things woke up and decided to keep trying anyway. Cole walked back into the barn. Back to the horses who needed feeding. Back to the residents who needed help. Back to the work that never ended, but always mattered. Thunder nickered softly. Recognition, maybe even affection. And somewhere in the distance, a coyote called, lonely and wild and alive. Just like Cole. Just like all of them. Broken but healing. Damaged but determined. Second chances personified. The sun continued rising. The work continued. Life continued. And that was enough. More than enough. That was everything.